For what?
So
No endorsements?
no endorsements, no collabs,
no cars or nothing like that? No free t-shirts?
Well, no, I got a free t-shirt, that's fine.
Did you?
I forgot it was Donegal Day tomorrow. It's an unfortunate coincidence, so I have another one, so I'll wear it tomorrow.
Fresh one? You complained there's a musty smell in here this morning.
It's like you were at the gym this morning, were you?
I'm going to the gym at 9:45. Thank you very much.
At least you got the smelling out of the way
I
early.
was showered and shaved last night because I was out at the Relay for Life thing, so I had to clean myself up, so there's no musty smell of me.
All right, sorry, must have been someone else.
Must have been.
My bad, sorry, Lee.
See, it's bad when you smell yourself, Greg. You need a shower, boy. Good luck.
Bye-bye, Leo. Okay, the Nine Til Noon Show on the way. It's a minute past 9. Let's get a news update now, and it's over to Donald Kavanagh.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. RTE station chiefs will face the Oireachtas Media Committee again this afternoon. Director General Kevin Bockhurst will field questions from TDs and senators on governance, reform and financial operations at the state broadcaster. With more, here's political correspondent Sean Defoe.
Committee members want to talk about this top 100 earners list that RTE is refusing to publish, citing GDPR concerns. They also want to talk about financial future, the possibility of selling the Montrose site, for example, and RTE moving elsewhere, which could bring in a very significant once-off revenue for the broadcaster. And also they want to talk reform to see what has already happened and whether that is enough to address some of the governance concerns and to open that door on the budget bailout package that RTE is going to need, one that could top more than €50 million.
A significant number of job announcements are expected in the north over the next 2 days. A number of them are set to come to Derry and Tyrone. Over 100 businesses and investors have gathered for a major 2-day conference hosted by the British Department for Business and Trade, the Northern Ireland office and the business support agency Invest NI. It's exploring the potential offered by the fact that Northern Ireland is both in the UK and in the EU for trade purposes. Business editor with the Irish News in Belfast, Gary MacDonald, says already today 1,000 jobs have been confirmed.
Just this morning, the conference opens up with a professional services firm, EY, which is the former Ernst & Young, and they have actually announced 1,000 new jobs between Belfast and Derry over the next 5 years, and that is the biggest jobs announcement made in the north this year by far.
It was confirmed last night that Relay for Life Donegal raised just over €137,500 this year in support of the Irish Cancer Society. Last night saw longtime chair Robert O'Connor step down, with Seamus Devine taking the helm. He says while supporting research remains a very important part of Relay's work, the bulk of the money raised is spent within the county on services.
In 2022 alone, there was over 250,000 spent by the Irish Cancer Society providing various services in Donegal. From the Daffodil Centre to the night nursing to Volunteer for Drive, financial support, the counselling service for families. It's a fantastic achievement. It's something obviously we're very proud of here in Donegal, that we've raised so much, and that money then goes back into Donegal on an annual basis.
Any overnight mist and fog patches clearing, leaving a dry day to begin with, but cloud will thicken with outbreaks of rain and drizzle developing in western areas. That'll spread right through the region throughout the afternoon and evening. Southerly winds freshening, windy in west and north coasts in particular. Top temperatures today 14 to 16 degrees Celsius. That's Highland Radio News. We're back with news again at 10 o'clock.
Mum, do you have any money?
Do you have €10?
Can I have some money, Dad?
I need €5.
Starting to feel a bit like a bank? Start teaching your kids money skills with Unpust MoneyMate, a debit card and app for kids. Set chores, teach saving habits, and set spending limits. Plus, kids can save cash at their local post office. Say goodbye to feeling like a bank. Try it free. Download the Unpust Money app today. T's and C's apply. Available for children aged 7 to 15 years. After 3 months, a monthly fee of €2 applies. Unpust is authorised by the Minister for Finance to provide payment services and is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland in the provision of such services.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 Til Noon Show on Highland Radio. And now it's time for the talk of the Northwest, the 9 Til Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello, good morning. It's just heading towards 5 minutes past 9 on this Wednesday, the 13th of December. No, it's not. It's September 2023. How are you all keeping? I do hope you're very well indeed. And unlike me, you know which month it is. Anyway, we're here for you, with you for sure, for the next 3 hours. We want you on board. 086 60 25,000 WhatsApps and texts. You've kept us really busy all week on our phone lines. Please keep that up. If you're outside the Republic, get involved in the conversation as well. 00353 86 60 25,000. If you want to call us, 074 91 25,000. Again, from Derry, Tyrone, wherever you're listening. 00353 7491 25,000. Again, we're inviting you to get involved in the conversation. And if email is your thing, comments at highlandradio.com. And you can also watch the show daily here with us. Go on to YouTube, Highland Radio Ireland. Like and subscribe there, maybe even hit the bell. And we can be watched on your smart TV, your Fire Stick, and across your mobile devices. And we're across Facebook pages as well. Right, let's see what's happening on the front of the newspapers. Let's start with the Inish Times. An Agriculture Minister and Donegal TD Charlie McConalogue has called for more urgency in the approval of applications to the new defective blocks remediation scheme. The Minister has called for more urgency in the approval of applications to the new scheme, which opened in July, and has called on Donegal County Council's Micah Redress Committee to meet and consider holding public meetings or seminars on the new scheme. Are they not already doing that? His call for public meetings comes after the first of a... here we are. His calls for public meetings comes after the first of a series of public meetings around the county hosted by the Micah Action Group. It was held in Mallinhead on Monday night. I look forward to councillors on a cross-party basis coming together through the Donegal County Council Micah Committee to ensure that the necessary steps are actioned by the County Council so that all homeowners awaiting approval are urgently transitioned to the new scheme, he said. But that being said, in terms of moving people from the old scheme to the new scheme, the council themselves say with the staff that they have and the processes that are involved, they're going as quick as they can, but it does understandably take time. The Donegal Post this morning, there was a distinction for Donegal last week with the introduction of the county's first postal e-trike by An Post in Bundoran. And the first man to put the pedal on the metal was Alan Patton from Bundoran, although Letterkenny will follow suit shortly, a spokesperson for An Post also confirmed. It's part of a continued rollout that has taken place across the country since late 2019, but this has been its first appearance on Donegal soil, delayed no doubt by the COVID-19 pandemic that struck the following year. With the on-push bikes previously, you could argue in terms of a green perspective that it's gone backwards if they were already on push bikes, because obviously they are completely green, whereas an electric bike is not. Anyway, be that as it may. On to the Irish Times now. Sinn Féin has branded Taoiseach Micheál Martin as desperate following his criticism of the party at the Fianna Fáil think-in on Monday. Mr Martin told reporters on Monday that Sinn Féin's triumphalism around atrocities committed by the Provisional IRA was infecting younger voters. Comments which Sinn Féin's housing spokesperson Owen O'Brien totally dismissed as desperate. He said the remarks were ill-judged, patronising and insulting. I don't think he's anything positive to offer young people on housing and healthcare, on childcare, and therefore increasingly so much of his commentary is negative, he said, arguing Sinn Féin had positive alternatives. Mr Martin said that Sinn Féin had been very slow to bring closure to victims of Provisional IRA violence. They still try to triumphalise it. They still try to justify it. The problem with that is that you're reinfecting a new generation of young people, the Taoiseach said, which I think is not really giving young people the credit they deserve for thinking for themselves and considering all options. All that being said, Sinn Féin is still open to a coalition with Fianna Fáil. So obviously pre-election they're toing and froing, backward and forthing. But what do you feel? Like, say, for instance, you go to the ballot box and Sinn Féin may well enter a coalition with Fianna Fáil. That's if the current government parties can't make up their own numbers. How would you feel if a vote for Sinn Féin ensured that Fianna Fáil remained in government? Is that something that you would be open to? Is that something you might consider when going to the ballot box? Let us know, because this conversation is going to be happening as the election edges closer. But the way proportional representation and coalition works, theoretically, if Sinn Féin aren't ruling out a coalition with Fianna Fáil, and arguably why would they, your vote for Sinn Féin could mean returning Fianna Fáil into government. As I say, text and let us know what you think about that proposition. The Irish Independent is amongst a lot of papers that have a lot of coverage about RTE. RTE is coming under mounting government pressure to look at selling off its Montrose campus in Dublin 4 as part of a radical cost-cutting measure, with the financial-stricken broadcaster potentially needing a bailout of upwards of 50 million. Senior coalition figures believe RTE bosses should now examine selling off part or all of its Donnybrook home. A senior government source says said RTE would now be asked about selling off Montrose in discussions around its future financing, with Director General Kevin Backhurst expected to produce a cost-cutting plan next month. The senior source questioned how many staff actually worked on site after COVID and noted the sale would raise substantial funds, potentially hundreds of millions of euro, to address its financial crisis. But that would be a temporary fix. I think they could probably, if they sold all, raise 300 million. Then, of course, they'd have to invest tens of millions in terms of providing new accommodation. How much would they be left with? Would it really make a difference as to... Like, I don't think people aren't paying their TV licence because RTE aren't selling land at Montrose. And the Irish Daily Mail tells us that RTE has suffered its biggest fall in TV licence payments of just under 1 million in 1 week, as its executives face more grillings by politicians in Leinster House today. And it'll be really interesting to see the tone of questioning from the committee, because, you know, the public have spoken here. I don't think for a long time, I can't recall something similar whereby there has been this, not organised. This is not an organised situation. There's no groups or parties or individuals or Facebook saying don't pay your TV licence. Right across this country, there are thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people saying, I don't like the way that place is run and I'm not supporting it with my hard-earned cash. It's happening naturally. And I really don't think it's, I don't really think it's an action that can be ignored. I think it's really important that the Oireachtas Committee and the government say, well, the people are speaking, the public who pay their wages is speaking really strongly here, and they're saying there's something seriously amiss, that they're not going to pay their TV licence and support this organisation. And I don't really feel that action by the public is being given the credit or the recognition that it deserves in terms of how things move forward. It really is huge. You know, up in terms of value, almost €1 million in 1 week withheld by the public for that organisation. I mean, that's really, really significant. Well, licence fee sales dropped by 982,000 in the first week of September, with the national broadcaster now left reeling from 11 weeks of controversy since the hidden payment scandal broke. RTE Director General Kevin Backhurst will appear before the Oireachtas Media Committee today for questions after the committee received 179 documents from Montrose for investigation. But in terms of, by the way, in case you're not aware, do you remember there was this big talk of well, we want to know what the top 100 are earning? You're not going to find that out because GDPR. And what other information will also be withheld? Who is to say? On to the Irish Daily Star now, and it has been confirmed that the use of body-worn cameras by Gardaí has the potential to transform policing in Ireland, a senior officer has said. Chief Superintendent Derek Smart was commenting on the Garda commenced a public procurement process for the cameras. Now, I looked quite detailed into this, and there's not an awful lot to suggest on an international scale that this would actually make the difference. And I also note too, in a few videos that I've seen of American police people, that when things get controversial, they can actually turn them off when it doesn't suit them. You know, I've seen the videos of them where things have got a little bit hairy and the cameras accidentally get switched off, and then you have to prove, did they get switched off in a struggle? Did they get switched off on purpose? It's not perfect, and as I say, there's not an awful lot of international evidence, and I'm not opposed to them, by the way. There's not an awful international evidence to suggest that they can transform policing. But anyway, it's intended that a live operational pilot of the body-worn cameras will start in mid-24 with a full rollout in 2025. Gardaí have confirmed the small lightweight cameras worn by Garda members will not record all the time and will still be turned on amid incidents. So what you would see internationally is the police are rolling around in their squad car, they pull someone over, and as they get out of the car, they switch it on. But as I say, I've seen an awful lot of videos of them when the going gets a wee bit, you know yourself, switching them off. So it'll be interesting to see how that's covered to ensure that it doesn't disadvantage the public. On to the Irish Sun. Global outcast Kim Jong-un arrived in neighbouring Russia. If the truth be told, would you have known that someone in North Korea could go on a train to Russia. I wouldn't have known that, but anyway, he did. He went on his armoured train. Global outcast Kim Jong-un arrived in neighbouring Russia for an arms deal yesterday as Vladimir Putin accused Britain of risking a nuclear conflict. The North Korean despot rumbled over the border on his armoured train for talks on trading tanks and shells for Russian rocket tech. But a Western general dismissed the meeting, which could see Moscow provided with hardware for the war in Ukraine as a coalition of the desperate. And very finally, on to the Irish Daily Mirror this morning. 2 Ukrainian refugees have appeared in court accused of operating an illegal cigarette business. The pair were caught with more than 8,000 counterfeit smokes and €5,395 in cash when swooped on by Gardaí in Letterkenny. Roman Nosenko and Mikhailo Shriya were selling the cheap cigarettes from the back of a Ukrainian registered vehicle at Pierce Road, Letterkenny on August 22nd. Not the brightest sparks, perhaps, quite public there. The cigarettes had no valid tax stamps affixed. Gardaí took possession of the cigarettes and the cash. Sergeant Jim Collins said both men were cooperative during interview and admitted their part in the scam. They were aided by an interpreter when appeared at Letterkenny District Court before Judge Aiton Cunningham. Nosenko, a 42-year-old of Atlantic Way Apartments, Bundoran, and 39-year-old Shriya of the same address, pleaded guilty. Judge Cunningham directed a probation and welfare report be prepared in the case of each man and adjourned the cases until December the 11th. OK, a very quick break, and then we're going to be getting an update on the new stadium at Finn Park. Stay right where you are.
The 9 Til Noon Show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
I've just had the Eclipse Cinemas experience. Wow, they truly have taken a night at the movies to a whole new level. Amazing recliner chairs, director's lounge VIP rooms, pizza and hot food served to your seat. Have a glass of wine and enjoy the film on the big screen. Try it for yourself at Eclipse Cinemas, Bundoran and Lifford Strabane, where the stars shine brighter. By the way, the pizzas are amazing. You can book your seat anytime at eclipsecinemas.ie.
Donegal Denture Clinic, Letterkenny. Denture problems? We can help. At Donegal Denture Clinic, we customise, personalise and tailor your dentures to suit you. Call us for a free consultation on 91 25 25 3. Find us at Ballyrain, Letterkenny, beside Rossin College. Medical cards welcome. For all your denture needs, call Donegal Denture Clinic on 91 25 25 3. Online at donegaldentureclinic.ie.
At Shannon Airport, we know what makes a dream holiday. It's not just the huge choice of destinations like Lanzarote, Malaga, Edinburgh, Paris, and Boston. It's the unique features that make getting through our airport a dream, like affordable, easy access parking just steps away from your departure gate. So whatever dream holiday you're packing for, head for shannonairport.ie. With more destinations than ever and a hassle-free airport experience, we'll get your holiday off to a dream start. Shannon Airport, making it easy.
Are you building a new home? Building requirements state that you must install a radon barrier. At FF Radon Systems, we supply and professionally install the fully certified barrier. For more information, call Liam at FF Radon Systems on 086 833 2749.
Highland Radio time checks with Expressway. Travel Route 32 from Letterkenny to Dublin when you book online and travel for less. Expressway, bringing you the time at...
Well, the time now is 18 minutes past 9. You're very welcome back to the programme. A fundraising committee and a main fundraising initiative will be set up in the coming weeks as Finn Harps looks to address a significant funding shortfall for the development of the Donegal Community Stadium in Stranorlar, as rising costs have taken the cost to $7.3 million. Finn Harps need to raise $700,000 for work to resume on their long-delayed new stadium, as I mentioned, in Stranorlar. Ian Harkin is president of Finn Harps and is with us now. Good morning, Ian.
Good morning, Greg. Thank you very much for having me on.
Right. So what has happened to leave us in this position now, Ian?
Well, so the saga of the stadium has been going on for a number of years, but it's we're reaching the end point right now, Greg, which is really good. It's We've last year we applied for funding to complete the stadium, and we received final confirmation of those government funds in June of this year, and that was to a costing of 5.7 million at the time. Now, inflationary costs have driven that up to 7.3, and we've been asked by the government to seek additional funds to cover that, which we've applied for 1.1 million from them. Now, the only caveat that they've given to us so far on that additional funding is that they need to see proof of us, of our own funds. And to date, we've, in terms of those activities, we've secured $500,000 from the council. We've secured $500,000 from the FAI. And to cash flow, they're going to be paying that to us over the next 10 years. And to cash flow that, we've got a loan in place to cover that $1 million. And now we also have gone and obtained a facility from our builder for $500,000. It's one of the subcontractors, actually, but he's doing the vast majority of the work on the stadium. So we've got a $500,000 facility in with him, which leaves us with $700,000 that we need to raise ourselves in the immediate term. So we're in a really good place. The government has supported us, the local council has supported us, the FAI has supported us. We're going to be developing a stadium that is going to be an asset to the whole of Donegal. It's going to, the match night entertainment, the quality of the product that we're going to be able to deliver on a Friday night is going to, improve massively. Like at the moment, there's only cover on one side of our stadium at the moment in Finn Park, and this will deliver, a night comparable to anything really that you can get in the UK or any other country for that matter. We'll have, the full match night experience, from food to music to the football itself.
And how do you insulate yourself from further rising costs? Because even just in terms of concrete, it's gone up significantly, not least because of a government levy which is being applied to it now, which I'm sure is applicable to this project. So what's the time frame? Because this process has to work really quickly, does it not? Because otherwise, by the time you are ready to start, costs will have inflated again.
Yeah, well, good point in that. And one of the main things that we're doing to address that is that the fact that we've actually chosen a model that it's a modular build. So it's quite a rapid construction process. So once we've sat down now and agreed costs with our suppliers, the build timescale is very, very short. The vast majority of the physical build will be done in a very short period of time.
And what I presume, there is there was a request made for the FAI or the council to dig a little deeper?
Well, from the conversations that we've had with them, they've said that that's as much as they're going to give to us. I'm sure we'll continue to speak with them to see if they can match their proportionate share of the increases as well. But at this stage now, it's down to ourselves. We've got to start that fundraising process and get it kicked off. I think people throughout Donegal, both people living in Donegal and living abroad, they see this. We've been going out this last year and communicating with people and groups, and they appreciate what we're doing. They appreciate what we're building for the people of Donegal. It is a legacy project. And it is serving we are a fan-owned club. We're not, you're not lining the pockets of some multi-millionaire or whatever by building this asset. It's for the people of Donegal, and it will be here for a very long period of time. So we will be going out and asking people to help us to support this project.
Between the ever-present loyal fans, if this is bought into as a Donegal-wide project, which I know you're working very hard to do so, and of course the generosity of the diaspora can be tapped into, many with strong connections to either the county or the club itself, and maybe recognising the work it does too in our schools and things like that. If you get enough of a buy-in, €700,000, as much as it is, begins to seem quite achievable.
It is, yeah. I mean, on an annual basis at the moment, if you work it out, if we were to get one of the things that we've applied for with this project as well is because we are building infrastructure, you're able to get tax benefits on donations, which hopefully, the donors will donate those tax benefits back to the club. So say someone donates, I'll make it easy, but say someone donates €1,000, we will be able to obtain another €400 back on that from the government on a tax rebate for the infrastructure. So it's anybody who donates over €250, we can claim the tax back on that. There's just a small form that we need to fill out for that.
No.
But, it's a great incentive as well for people.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And people don't do that enough, and an awful lot of money is lost to charities for that very reason, because there's not a huge awareness of that. So, Ian, obviously there's going to be things being launched in the near future. Is there a marquee fundraising drive? Is it a series of smaller ones, or how much can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, at the moment we're just forming our committee. We have a number of different ideas. All of them, there will be one main project which will be launched pre-Christmas, and it will be, the main event to drive the vast majority of the funds for it. We're trying to tie in this tax element to it as well to, further boost the fundraising efforts. But we've got a number of different things that we have run within the club, from our lottos and our 500 club as well. So we know that we have that base out there. But this project is not just for our fan base; it's for everybody in Donegal. I've been in this role for just about a year and a half or so, and it's amazing to meet the amount of families, right across the whole county of Donegal that have, in recent times, more so than anything else, had interactions with the club. And that's because of the work that our academy does. We've over 200 kids every year in our academy, which affects pretty much every family or every little village. Everybody will know somebody who has benefited from the club, but we don't have, our current stadium. We're getting pressure from the FAI. We're getting derogations every year on our current stadium because it's not fit for purpose, and we've been asked to raise our stadium up to a Category 3 level, and it's physically not possible to do that with Finn Park.
Yeah, of course, and the stadium has to match the club's ambitions as well, doesn't it? Going into the future. So, Ian, just once again, timeline this for us. You're saying that all the funding is in place. So once how much money is raised, can we actually start seeing work start on this? So what do you see as a realistic time frame for this stadium beginning construction if all goes well?
Yeah,
or continuing construction, I suppose you could say. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, we can actually start work right now. As long as the government see that we are starting our fundraising efforts, we can start the project right now. But as a club, there's a couple of different legal processes that we're in the midst of doing. Our lease is run below 15 years, so it's currently in front of the council this year to extend that out to 30 years again. And once that's done, there has to be a legal charge put onto the new lease. So again, those things just take weeks, if not maybe a month or so, to complete. but we have committed as a board to start work as soon as we reach the 500,000 mark in our fundraising efforts. And, we believe that that's very achievable by the plans that we currently have.
And is there rights? Not that it might be worth €500,000, but are things like sort of the naming of the stadium with long time tie-in? Are those options on the table, or is it say 3 or an hour or whatever it might be?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we've reached out to a number of different agencies in Ireland who do that particular type of activity in terms of naming rights. If you look at other clubs in Ireland, Drogheda have done it. Longford Town have also done it, and on the occasion when Drogheda have done it, I believe the amount they have reached is somewhere in around the €100,000 mark per annum. So it's a significant one if we can get
big
partner.
Big players, both in Donegal and with very strong Donegal connections that could have quite literally their name all over this project. Okay, Ian, listen, obviously between these channels and the sports team as well, I'm sure we'll hear much more about it as plans are finalised for this fundraising drive. But you see this as a good point. This is the project ready to go once this money begins to be raised, and hopefully people will be generous. Is that the parting shot?
That's it, Greg. Yeah, just keep an eye out. We will be announcing it very, very soon. So, dig deep when the call comes out. It's a fantastic. Even what we have at the moment, it's a fantastic night out for families. We are building that towards a family night out, a family occasion to gather together, and we hope to be able to deliver the asset to allow for that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much indeed, Ian Harkin.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com. The 9 Til Noon Show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Every time you step outside your house, the choices you make count. And every day you go to work, how you get there counts. By choosing to take public transport or to walk or cycle to work whenever you can, you're doing your bit to help reduce Ireland's transport emissions. It's why €563 million has been allocated for bus and rail services around the country this year. Because wherever you're going, your journey counts. Visit gov.ie/your journey counts. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
Hi, Paddy here at Shane Conley Cars in Donegal Town. Are you looking to upgrade your car? With Shane Conley Cars, you'll find makes and models for every budget. Great finance options, and we also accept trade-ins. Check out ShaneConleyCars.com or call in to us at Shane Conley Cars from Lonahur Road, Donegal Town.
Sit back, relax and sink into the comfort of a new sofa. Available now at the Easy Living Furniture Spectacular Sofa Sale, with interest-free finance options on a wide range of sofas that are in stock and ready for delivery. Now is the perfect time to treat yourself and invest in comfort, style and superb value for money. The Spectacular Sofa Sale is now on in Easy Living Furniture, Crescent Link Retail Park.
McCullough Jewellers in Letterkenny are synonymous with fine jewellery, quality watches and giftware. With stores at Main Street, Letterkenny and the Letterkenny Shopping Centre, or online at ormccullough.com. You can choose from their quality product range in a relaxed atmosphere, and their sales staff will be happy to help you make the right choice, whatever the occasion. McCullough Jewellers, making moments magical for generations.
Experience an unforgettable night with the Tumblin' Paddies as they launch their new album at the Mount Errigal Hotel on Saturday, September 16th. Doors open at 9 p.m. with DJ Kieran Cannon. The Tumblin' Paddies will be on stage from 10 p.m. till midnight. Don't miss this massive night of entertainment with the Tumblin' Paddies at the Mount Errigal Hotel. Tickets on Eventbrite or pay at the door.
Okay, so as you would know, new rules were brought in recently as it relates to, walking dogs on certain beaches when you can, and I suppose more importantly when you can't. And then we heard yesterday from Ungada Síochána reminding people to keep your dogs on the leash, or at least keep them under control. This off the back of a couple of complaints of people being attacked, you could say, or at least jumped on by dogs, I believe, in the Milford area. Sinead joins us on the programme now. Hi, Sinead.
Hi, Greg.
It's an interesting one, this, because I remember sort of stating at the time when we were talking about dogs being banned from blue flag beaches and all that type of stuff. I mean, if you were a dog owner, Donegal wouldn't feel really like a very friendly place to go, even though it's an absolute minority of people that are irresponsible dog owners. What's your view?
Well, look, I mean, it's all, and look, I don't want to make out as if, there's no concern there for people who are genuinely scared of dogs. I mean, I have quite an irrational phobia about a certain eight-legged creature, so I completely get it. I just can't stand it. However, if we're calling for dogs to be on leash at all times, there needs to be a plan put in place where dogs can go to specific places where they can be off leash. Dogs need to socialise. Dogs need to be able to, and my dog is a Cocker Spaniel. She needs to be able to run. She needs to be able to run off leash to get out of the all of the energy out of her, basically. And I'm not saying that has to be done all day, but there has to be some thought put into what exactly is going to happen. We just can't keep banning this place and banning, dogs off leash in another place.
Your Cocker Spaniel, when you've been out and about, has it ever run up to anyone or jumped up on anyone or gone and barked at anyone or sniffed at anyone?
Yeah, she sniffed. She sees people coming and she goes wagging her tail. She'll get sort of fairly close to them, but she's not a jumpy, uppy dog.
Yeah, but do you get, Sinead, and listen, I'm with you to a certain extent, but you know yourself, the role and all that. But that's terrifying. Yeah. If that was my wee Hudson, he would, and I don't know where he got it from, that would fill him with fear. He might not want to go back there again if the dog came up and started sniffing at him. Well, though he's getting a wee bit better at it, by the way. Can I say, it's something you can work on, and which we are working on.
Take him down to my wee dog, Greg, and it'll get over that. No,
I'm not just taking it as a fait accompli. It is something he's very much improving on. But I just to use something that I find as relatable. So you see, so your beautiful little Cocker Spaniel, who's very friendly, she's not a jumper and all that kind of stuff. It approaching someone can make them scared, Sinead.
Yeah, it can. And that's the reason why I'm saying if there are specific spaces put in place for dogs to be off leash, then that's going to solve both issues. Yeah. But there needs to be this thought put in place. I mean, dogs need to, if for nothing else, they need to have that energy run out of them, because I think the most popular dog in Ireland is a Labrador. Then you're looking at things like golden retrievers, cockapoos, which are, but anyway, and Cocker Spaniels and German Shepherds. But they all are really energetic dogs. A lot of them are working dogs. Anybody who has a collie knows that they need to be working and exercising regularly. But I mean, if I didn't do that, if none of us did that with our dogs, us responsible owners, we would have our neighbours knocking on the door non-stop because there'd be excessive barking. They might be, when they're on leash, then become aggressive towards other dogs, which might then frighten people more. There has to be some thought put in place, was my point. You can't keep calling for people just to, put your dogs on a leash, put your dogs on a leash everywhere.
I mean, at the moment, you have to have control of your dog. It doesn't have to be on a leash in public, okay? But, the park... Yeah. You need it on a leash, or at least people. The beaches are the same now, and we've so many beaches. I do feel for dog owners who might get dirty looks just by walking the dog on the beaches, and then public roads and what have you. So where safely can you go? Or do you find now there's an attitude towards dog owners by non-dog owners, if you know what I mean? By simply having a dog, people are almost judgmental of you in public, if you know what I mean. I don't mean in private, Sinead.
I have to be I have to be honest, I haven't found that.
Okay.
But then again, you see, my dog will come to, I've really worked on it since I got her, I rehomed her, and I've really, really worked on it. And she had fairly good recall before, when she came to
Understood,
me.
yeah.
But I've worked on it to the point where she is, as soon as I call her, she comes back to me. And if I saw someone who might look like I'm constantly have my eye on my dog when she is off leash. If I saw someone was looking a little bit uncomfortable, or especially people who might be walking a tiny little puppy on a leash or something like that, I'm immediately calling her back, because you want to be sure that you're not worrying people.
Mm-hmm.
But no, most people, to be perfectly honest, they're oh, look at the doggy, isn't she lovely? So and actually, it's really, really good for socialising for people as well. Because I mean, we have our own wee regular sort of people that you meet out on the, who happen to get the same time of day. They have their own dogs, and you get chatting to them, and it's a really good socialising thing for humans as well. But yeah, look, put some thought into where these dogs are going to go, because you can't just keep putting these bans in place.
Well, what do you suggest?
Like that, but
like, what do you suggest?
well, the counsellors who are calling for putting dogs on leashes elsewhere, they need to be the people proposing to put a specific dog park space in the areas that they're calling for this for.
Yeah.
To be perfectly frank, there has to be some joined up thinking here. We can't just keep saying, no, let's ban dogs. It's going to be ban dogs from this space and put them on a leash here. That can't keep happening, because reasonably, not all of us, I don't know very many people who have acres and acres and acres so that we can even just, throw a ball and let the dog, have a good, decent run of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the case for most people, and most of us are really responsible owners who really want the best for our animals. And so therefore, yeah, my dog is going to be off.
What about dog-friendly hours in parks? Would that be a compromise?
Possibly, but then that's not going to suit everybody. What I mean?
But nothing's going to suit everybody.
Yeah, but if there was a specific space for dogs, that people know that this space is for dogs and dogs are going to be off leash and it's a secure area, then everybody going into that space knows exactly what they're going in for.
A caller says, I would have thought before you get a dog, especially a dog that needs a lot of exercise, that you would have considered having a large outdoor area in your home. It's the owner's responsibility. But if that were to follow through, there'd be no one in an urban area with a dog, because, I mean, obviously in rural areas, some people are blessed with a lot of space, but you don't have to go terribly urban before, obviously, that space shrinks. So if you follow that logic through, there'd be no dogs in urban areas at all. I understand where the person's coming from.
Absolutely. And I mean, look, it's not to say I have a small garden. I don't have a particularly huge garden, but I don't have a particularly small one either. I have enough space to keep my dog safely and securely, and where, she can go out and have a sniff and all of those kind of things. I can put her on a leash for if I was walking along a road or, where there's going to be cars, because she's no traffic sense. But that regardless, the dog needs to be off leash, and the vast majority of us do not have that. So unless you're talking about banning any dog that needs in excess of an hour and definitely needs some off leash for the people in Ireland, what are you going to do?
Yeah, there's some breeds need an awful. I think those husky dogs, for example, they kind of look like husky. They need a ton of exercise. There's some breed, and there was a massive explosion of them a number of years ago. They need a ton of exercise. Sinead asks a caller, would you worry about other dogs off the leash attacking your dog when she's so small?
Not really, no, because the vast majority of people, if their dogs are off, now if it was a dog loose and there was no visible owner around it, maybe, and it would honestly, it would depend on the size of the dog and the breed of the dog. But if there's an owner that's visibly with that dog, not really, no, I wouldn't be worried about it.
Callers and the tone of a number of texts, if I were to sort of amalgamate them all, is that pretty much everywhere you can take your dog without putting it on a lead, because be it parks or public areas or beaches, it's overrun with dogs that aren't on leads. A lot of callers are saying, as I say, that's a mishmash of them all. So there's no problems at the moment then.
There's no problems at the moment, and I mean, my dog's off leash, but again, my dog's under effectual control, so it's not illegal.
Of course
she is really good. She's really good recall. But my problem was that everywhere is calling for leashes. That is not the only way to control a dog. It might make people feel secure, but it's not the only way to control a dog at all. But yeah, no. And I mean, as I said, look, leashes, sometimes what you tend to find is some dogs, when they're put on a leash, because they feel trapped, because they maybe feel like they're being held back and they don't have the full range to be able to protect themselves if something happens, when they meet another dog, then that's when they become aggressive, and then they are only leash aggressive, and they're maybe placid, gentle dogs when they're off leash, you know. I'm not saying she's like that, she's not, but there are dogs like that. So there needs to be, my whole point was, look, if you're calling for places, all these places to have leashes, then make sure that there are places, public places, where dogs can go to socialise, they can become acquainted with other dogs, they will become, you know, less scary for everybody. You know, if a dog's well socialised and is, it's not going to be barking, it's not going to cause a ton of problems for anybody else, including the dog owners themselves. You know, but yeah. That was my whole point.
Yeah, and I think it's a good point. And it's a conversation. It is a conversation we have to have, because we could find ourselves being no county for old dogs, you know. So we have to be careful. All right. And I say, too, I don't think it's fair if dog owners then feel as if everyone's jumping on them, when we do know the majority are very responsible.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And look, you know, dog friendly is a good thing too to have for our tourism market as well. So, you know, dog friendly is a great thing. So yeah, there's a lot of people and they want to take their dogs with them if they're, you know, maybe coming from down the country somewhere and they want to come up to Donegal for a weekend or a week. They want to be taking their dogs with them. So we need to have these things thought through and put in place, and not this half-assed, you know, just put dogs on leashes everywhere. It's not going to work.
Sinead, thanks for your time.
And it's visibly not working.
Okay,
all right,
appreciate
thanks,
it. Take care. Get involved in that conversation. 08660 25,000. Dog owners, says the listener, must have responsibility for their dogs. There's no need to have dogs on blue flag beaches at times they're not supposed to be there. It's all about compromise and taking responsibility. Dog owners need to have respect for fellow walkers and children. There's a lake in Ballabouffay that people take their dogs to. They let them off the leash and the dogs run after farmers' sheep. They should be kept on a leash. Another, dogs on Rathmullen Beach all summer. They're not allowed on the beach, says a listener there. And there are more dogs on the beach than ever. There is nobody to do patrols, which is a problem. So the tone of our texts coming in as we're speaking to Sinead, and keep them coming into us, are that, you know, actually really we need more enforcement of where we're at than less. But I think Sinead's is a good point in that, well, where do you go to exercise your dogs? Maybe there should be some designated areas. What do you all think? 08660 25,000. I'm just looking at cute images of dogs here while I was listening to Sinead. Don't own a dog. I used to, but anyway. 08660 25,000 is the WhatsApp and text number. 08660 25,000, or give us a call on 074 91 25,000.
The 9 Til Noon Show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
Don't miss the big baby event at Lidl. Mix and match multi-buys across our award-winning Loopy Loo Premium Nappies range from 2 packs for €2. Get dreamy prices on 100% cotton baby sleep suits, 2 for €6. And feed the little ones at little cost. Loopy Loo food range 20% off on Lidl Plus. Go on, shop without compromise. Go full Lidl today.
Imagine a dream wedding on a lake. All-day casual dining by a magical shore. Fine dining or glorious afternoon tea surrounded by beautiful mountains. Or a fabulous bar filled with music, laughter and song. Imagine no more. Harvey's Point, Loch Esk, Donegal, 07497 22208 or harveyspoint.com. Close by, but a different world.
Curtains at Foy & Company Company Letterkenny. Complete any room with our elegant and exquisite range of curtains, designed to elevate your windows with sheer beauty. Whether you prefer classic patterns or contemporary designs, our curtain collection offers endless possibilities to complement your interior decor. Let our expert staff assist you in creating the living space you've always dreamed of. Call in and get a free interior design consultation this month at Foy & Company Letterkenny.
Donegal Denture Clinic, Letterkenny. Denture problems? We can help. At Donegal Denture Clinic, we customise, personalise and tailor your dentures to suit you. Call us for a free consultation on 91 25 25 3. Find us at Ballyrain, Letterkenny, beside Rossin College. Medical cards welcome. For all your denture needs, call Donegal Denture Clinic on 91 25 25 3. Online at donegaldentureclinic.ie.
Keep out the cold, cold, cold! And ring Fleming for their full range of garage doors, agri doors, insulated doors, milking parlour doors. Fleming, 91 48 234.
Right, okay, continuing our coverage of the Children's Disability Network teams across Donegal. And a bit of digging shows us that there are, because we knew there were some vacancies, but how many? 36 vacant positions within Donegal's 3 Children's Disability Network teams. The areas with the most are speech and language therapy, occupational therapy, physiotherapy and psychology. There are 3 teams in the county, by the way. Donegal North CDNT, which of course includes Inishowen, Donegal East and Inishowen CDNT, and then Donegal Southwest CDNT. Parents with children trying to access those services were told that there simply isn't the staff to do what they might want to do. Almost 7 staff required in occupational therapy, just over 5 staff in physiotherapy, 7.4 staff, and it's whole job equivalents, all right, so 7.4 sounds strange, but hopefully you understand what that means. Speech and language therapy, 7.4 vacancies, psychology, 5 vacancies, social work, 3 vacancies, social care, 3 vacancies, nursing, 1 vacancy. And yesterday we were speaking to people who are from the county but studied across the water or in Northern Ireland, and they are of the mind that they can't go through this CORU system, whereby it is a very, very convoluted, red tape ridden system whereby people's qualifications, they're working away in Northern Ireland, in Derry and living in Buncrana, for an example, but they can't come and work in Buncrana because their qualification is not recognised. And we heard from one person yesterday, the hoops that you have to jump through, the paperwork is enormous, and then you get a sense that no one's actually processing this application. Gemma is a family CDNT rep in Inishowen and joins us on the programme now. And thank you very much, Gemma, for joining us.
Thank you.
Right, okay. So, no, it's okay. Gemma, are you okay to speak or do you need a second?
Yeah, no, I am, yeah.
So you are of the view that this CORU is a really, really significant problem in filling these vacant posts.
Yeah, for all the reasons you just said. You know, I live in Buncrana myself. I trained as a nursing midwife in the north, and I ended up having to change my qualifications over to the NMBI down here, and that was a convoluted process in itself. So I understand kind of why people aren't going that route and how long it can take. It's also, we're in the middle of a cost of living crisis, and especially that young girl you were speaking to yesterday morning. There are 4 universities in Ireland that offer both OT and speech and language therapy courses as a degree, and they're in Dublin, Cork, Galway and Limerick. So the cost of living crisis, if you live up here and that's what you want to do, there are a lot of people who just simply couldn't afford that. You know, the fees, the cost of rent and everything else. And then there's one in Derry that you can drive to from here. So there's, the problem's not getting any smaller. You know, it's not a short. There's no short-term fix here.
It's going to take a complete overview of qualification recognition, or at least the process for recognising those qualifications, and as well too. In that response, the HSE sent out 2 links to show where the jobs were being advertised. One of them, there was 1 job. There's apparently 36 jobs, but on the HSE's own website there was 1 single job advertised, and then there's a link to a Facebook page where many of the jobs are advertised. But if you aren't on that Facebook page, you simply don't know those jobs are there.
The other thing is as well, and you know, there is a requirement with CORU if you do your degree here for, say, speech and language therapy, you graduate proficient in something called dysphagia. And they require that as something that you have to have in order to get on their register. What happens is the UK and elsewhere in the world, that's a postgraduate specialty, and they don't do that as an undergraduate degree. So you're asking people as well, they've gone and they've done their degrees in Northern Ireland or in the UK, and they've worked in the NHS for years, and you're asking them to come back here, you're asking them to do a postgraduate qualification out of their own pocket, in their own time, which isn't relevant to their scope of practice. Just so that they can get on the register, so that they could maybe, be able to apply.
And some of that is very specialist stuff, isn't it? Swallowing movements and stuff like that there, that people can specialise in that, but they're being asked to already have the qualification for that before they can be employed here, which is not required in Britain and Northern Ireland or elsewhere, which, again, is a further barrier to employment.
Yeah. So if you have somebody who's working, as you say, most of these people are working in the NHS in Derry or wherever, and they're coming home from working a full day week, and you're asking them to take time out of their own time to do a postgraduate qualification that's not necessary for their practice. Like, I can guarantee you that I wouldn't do it either. Do you know?
Yep, so we know now there's 36 vacancies in the Children's Disability Network teams. With the current setup, I can't see how we could even begin to make inroads in filling those positions and giving families the hope that their children will start getting the interventions they need.
Until these barriers with CORI are overcome, there is really no short-term solution for it, to be honest, and I can't see it either. And, the jobs are advertised there, but there simply aren't people to fill them. There aren't people who the HSE can employ, and until then, our kids are leaving out on. The other aspect of that is we now have this situation where the services are so short in the CNT network that private speech and language therapists, private OT therapists are actually closing their books because they have too many patients to be able to accommodate. So even if you were in the position to avail of those services, you can't, because they can't take on anybody new.
So even that one pathway, if you were lucky enough to beg, steal and borrow to do it for the better of your child, if you can, and many can't, even that's now becoming a problem.
Yeah, because they have too many people. There's too many people trying to go down that route because there is no alternative. My son is 4.5, so they talk about early intervention, and everyone's very familiar with Keith Duffy and the work he's done into autism, and his daughter is incredible. But that again is because she got the therapy at the right time from the right people. So my son is running out of time. I simply don't have, that course in McGee is great, but it's 3 years before we're going to get anybody out of that potentially. So my son hasn't got 3 years to wait for that to become available, and there's so many other kids as well. The other side of it is there are so many kids waiting to get into that system. There are so many kids waiting to get into get that initial assessment and get diagnosed, and they have no voice. And the whole point of it is, if we lose more staff in the interim, are we going to have to stop doing diagnostic assessments? Are we going to have to stop? Is that process going to stop? Are we just going to get completely hemmed in? And when is it that somebody, the HC or government, is actually going to take this into hand? We all worked through a pandemic, we all lived through it, and money was found just to throw at things. And it seemed to be a never-ending pot. Why can't now? This isn't just a Donegal issue. It's not just an Inishowen issue. It's not a Donegal East issue. It's not a Donegal North issue. This is a national issue. Yeah.
But
right across the board.
What we've done with people like yourself, Gemma, and we're heading towards the news at 10, though, we've identified a very serious problem. When we've spoken to an awful lot of people who are very heavily impacted by this, and the poor children who aren't getting the chances that they deserve. We've also identified the problems, and I think to some extent we're starting to identify solutions as a group of people in the community, us and the likes of you, Gemma, and others who've been involved in this conversation. There's not an awful lot more we can do. We've got the problem.
No.
We've found the areas that need to be looked at. That's very important. Now what we need is someone to do something about this.
Exactly.
Okay. Gemma, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
I appreciate it greatly. Okay, so as I say, we can't do much more, can we, as a collective here? I don't mean us at Highland, I mean us as a collective here. We've got the problem. We've identified the problem. We've identified the people of its effect, and we've begun to look at ways that it can be resolved. We just need someone to do this for our children.
Looking for the best staycation ever? Well, you're in luck. We teamed up with Vulture Ireland and asked the public what their favourite staycation activities are in Donegal, and they didn't disappoint. Michelle said she had a great day at Glencolmkill Folk Village and it is an amazing, fun, educational day out for the whole family. Brian said his 2 teenagers had such fun zipping around with e-bikes in Downings, highly recommend. And Victor texts saying that Donegal Coastal Tours do amazing day tours around Donegal with very welcoming and knowledgeable staff. Sarah said her kids loved the scenic Lough Foyle ferry crossing, such a fun day out, while Ben said he and his mates had the best time kayaking and biking with Eco Atlantic Adventures, a day they won't forget. Plan your best vacation ever at discoverireland.ie and experience the feeling of a holiday all in one day.
Have you heard about Charlie's chips? They're made from potatoes that are carefully selected, then peeled, cut, and like everything else at Charlie's in Letterkenny, cooked to order. That's why they taste so good. From 12 right through to 8 in the evening, Charlie's at Pierce Road, Letterkenny offer an extensive menu that includes a great selection of gluten-free options, all available to sit in or take away. The next time the hunger hits, pull into Charlie's.
Donegal Denture Clinic, Letterkenny. Denture problems? We can help. At Donegal Denture Clinic, we customise, personalise and tailor your dentures to suit you. Call us for a free consultation on 91 25 25 3. Find us at Ballyrain, Letterkenny, beside Rossin College. Medical cards welcome. For all your denture needs, call Donegal Denture Clinic on 91 25 25 3. Online at donegaldentureclinic.ie. The 9 Til Noon Show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from 40,000 to 600,000 euro with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning. It's 10 o'clock. Donald Kavanagh at the news desk. As RTE bosses prepare for a grilling from TDs and senators later today, some ministers are calling on the broadcaster to sell off its Donnybrook land to pay its bills. Senior RTE managers will appear before the Oireachtas Media Committee this lunchtime to face further questions over the broadcaster's finances and governance. RTE sold 9 acres of land for housing in 2017 for €107 million. Minister of State Patrick O'Donovan says hard-pressed Irish taxpayers are fed up bailing out RTE when it seems to continually mismanage its own finances.
No matter how many times we spin the wheel, no matter how many times we mess things up and run the thing into the ground and cause financial ruination, that the taxpayers will be there and the licence payers will be there to bail them out. I don't genuinely think that there's an appetite amongst most people to do that.
Finn Harps Football Club is launching a fresh fundraising drive to allow work recommence on the new community stadium in the Twin Towns, which the club will use in the future. The project's received backing from Donegal County Council, the FAI and the government, but rising costs mean it now carries a price tag of €7.3 million. That leaves the club needing to raise another €700,000. Club chair Ian Harkin says he's confident that can be raised, and while the release of government funding is contingent on the club proving it has the funds to proceed, he says he doesn't believe that's going to be a major problem on today's 9 Til Noon Show. He told Greg that stadium naming rights may be one of the ways of raising some of that money. He confirmed that once they reach 500,000, they will recommence construction.
We have committed as a board to start work as soon as we reach the 500,000 mark in our fundraising efforts. We believe that that's very achievable. We've reached out to a number of different agencies in Ireland who do that particular type of activity in terms of naming rights.
The largest ever number of job announcements in the north is expected over the next 2 days. Over 100 companies are being represented at a major investment conference in Belfast. 1,000 jobs are being announced this morning in financial services by the EY Corporation. Some of those jobs are going to Derry. Gary MacDonald, business editor with the Irish News in Belfast, says it's clear the Windsor framework is benefiting the north, despite what the DUP are saying.
The DUP continue to hold back, but really, the train is moving forward without the DUP at the moment, and that's really, they will see themselves over the next day that the Windsor framework is being celebrated by these companies, and we're moving forward without the DUP.
The work done on the breakwater in Greencastle in recent months has been praised by Donegal County Council's Fisheries Committee. Members were told the project is coming in on time and within budget. Cliona Campbell, a senior engineer with the Council's Pier and Harbours office, told members that 90% of what's been done is underwater and will never be seen. The Greencastle project is part of a €27 million development under the Brexit Adjustment Reserve, but Ms Campbell also confirmed that 6 projects in the county are stalled because of issues with foreshore licences. With more, here's Donna Marie Doherty.
At a cost of €17 million, the Greencastle breakwater is the largest of 28 projects being progressed under the Local Authority Marine Infrastructure Scheme, with work set to be completed in the coming weeks. Ms Campbell said there are 28 projects in total, 10 of which have already been completed, with work continuing on 12 others ahead of the closing date for the scheme in November. However, 6 projects, including the Rathmullen Pier refurbishment and the Bunbeg pontoon development, have not proceeded because of delays in securing foreshore licences and leases. Even if they came through now, the meeting was told a 3-month review period must be completed before they can be activated. Marine Minister Charlie McConalogue, who attended the online meeting, pledged he would do what he could to expedite the process and ensure the money is available for the projects next year.
Looking at the weather forecast, and Met Éireann tell us it'll stay dry to begin with, but cloud will thicken. Outbreaks of rain and drizzle will develop in western fringes during the morning. They'll slowly spread right across the region over the course of the afternoon and evening. Southerly winds freshening along with the arrival of the rain, staying windy, particularly along west and north coasts, in top temperatures of 14 to 16 degrees Celsius. Tonight we'll see some patchy outbreaks of rain or drizzle to begin with, some mist and fog in places later. Lowest overnight temperatures 9 to 12 degrees Celsius in light to moderate southwest breezes. And that's Highland Radio News. We're back with news headlines again at 12 noon. Until then, from the news team, have a very good morning. The obituary notices for this Wednesday morning, the 13th of September. The death has occurred of Damien Blake, Corramone Ballabafay, formerly of the Maples, Letterkenny, reposing at his late residence from 12 noon to 10 p.m. today and tomorrow, with Rosary nightly at 9. Funeral from there on Friday morning to the Church of Mary Immaculate, Stranora, for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass, which can be viewed live on churchservices.tv, followed by burial in Drumbo Cemetery. Family time, please, on the morning of the funeral. Family flowers only, please. Donations, if desired, to the Donegal Hospice, care of Pascal Blake, Funeral Director. The death has taken place of Sister Patricia McHenry, St Joseph's Convent of Mercy, Newton Kennedy Street, Strabane, and formerly of Kilray, Buncrana, Derry and Dungiven. Reposing at St Joseph's Convent of Mercy, Strabane from 12 noon today. Funeral from there tomorrow evening at 5:30, going to St Patrick's Church, Dungiven, arriving at approximately 7 o'clock. Requiem Mass on Friday at 12 noon, followed by interment in the adjoining cemetery. The Requiem Mass can be viewed live on mcnmedia.tv. The death has occurred of Richard Finney, Letterkenny. Richard's remains are reposing at his in-laws, the Dlackens, in Loughnageen, Letterkenny, from 12 noon until 10 o'clock today. Funeral Mass tomorrow in the Church of the Irish Martyrs, Letterkenny, at 10:30, followed by burial in Conwell Cemetery. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to Pieta House, care of any family member, or Con MacDade, Funeral Director. The death has taken place of Patricia Pat Kerr, Letcher, Kilmacrennan. Remains reposing at her home. Funeral service tomorrow afternoon at 1 in Letcher Presbyterian Church, with burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. The funeral service can be viewed on Patrick Sweeney, Funeral Director's Facebook page. And the death has occurred of Sean Foodie, 15 Main Street, Letterkenny. Requiem Mass this morning in St Eunan's Cathedral, Letterkenny, at 11 o'clock, with burial afterwards in Conwell Cemetery. The funeral mass can be viewed live on churchservices.tv. Donations in lieu of flowers to the Donegal Hospice. House private, please, before the funeral. For more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Highland Radio. 106.7 FM. 106.7 FM. Right now in Ireland, 1 in 6 adults struggle with reading and understanding information and can feel locked out of life in areas like careers, education and daily tasks. At An Post, we're proud to support NALA, the National Adult Literacy Agency's work to improve adults' reading and writing skills, to unlock opportunity for everyone. If you need some help, call NALA on 1800 2020 80.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 Till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
Good morning. You're very welcome back to the 9 Till Noon Show. Good morning if you're just switching on. How are you all keeping this Wednesday morning? And couldn't help but notice in the mornings it's darker, in the evenings it's darker. And would you believe, and some people love the winter, some people dislike it, that by the end of this month it will be dark, or sunset will be at 7, sunrise at 7 or after 7. So very, very shortly, the next 2 weeks or so, our days are going to get considerably shorter. So enjoy it while it lasts. Okay, some of your comments coming in over the course of this morning so far. Hi, the lady on your show now has a good idea, that's Sinead, about a place for dogs off leads, but she's typical of all the selfish dog owners who don't care about anyone else. Your dog won't bite you because you feed it. Another, always children first. So many scarred for life from bad experiences with dogs. Hi, Greg. I have a border collie, a very calm and friendly dog. In fact, more friendly than some humans I meet. I take him to the beach twice a week, in which we both enjoy a long walk with him off the lead. Lots of people and children ask if they can pet him. Okay. Greg, I think there is an entitlement among people who are scared of dogs. Why must we not bring our pets around? For many who are like their babies, on the off chance somebody will be afraid. Which is an interesting statement, and it's kind of putting it up to those who are saying, keep your dog on the lead. They're saying, Greg, I think there's an entitlement among people who are scared of dogs. Why must we not bring our pets around? For many who are like their babies, on the off chance somebody will be afraid. Why don't people who walk dogs on beaches in Donegal pick up the dog poop in a bag and bin it at home? This is done in the UK because of fines and law enforcement, but a caller says seemingly not here. Another caller says, I was walking down Rathmullen Beach and I met a couple with a child and they had a dog running off the lead. The dog came running up to me, however. I had my dog on a lead. I own a large dog, but he's harmless. But the lady screamed at me for her dog approaching us, saying that a dog like mine could easily attack hers. That makes sense. I can't. So the person is walking on the beach with a bigger dog that's on a lead, and the other person's little dog runs up to the big dog, and the owner of the little dog gives out to the owner of the big dog on a lead. Unfortunately, my friend, I can't make sense of that. Greg, walking your dog on a lead should be made law and kept out of parks and the ways like Swans Park, an inch walk. The foul poop everywhere, and they are a torture when you've wee wains out walking and playing. But that means really, so if we're talking about beaches and parks and roads, does that mean really there is no, other than on your own private property, there is nowhere really that you can run a dog? And I think that was Sinead's point there, which is that also the route we want to go down? With all the problems in Donegal, Finn Park is the least of our worries. This proposal is a ridiculous waste of money. The Finn Park grounds are on a floodplain and the River Finn don't. These parks, people watch the news, climate change will wash it all away. Well, it's not quite where the old one is. I take your point, but I also know there are competing priorities. But for some who are like really stressed about things in life, and lots of things are stressful, going along to watch football on a Friday night with the kids can be the thing that sort of gets them out of that space. And it's valuable in that regard as well. It doesn't cost an awful lot. You can go get behind your team, see your heroes up close and switch off from everything. I think really the argument for a really good Donegal community stadium is sort of maybe to help people who are struggling with all the stuff that we know they're struggling with. Delighted to see that Ian, Finn Harps are now moving forward with a plan to finally get the new stadium started. That comes in from Councillor Patrick McGowan. Thanks for that, Councillor. Right, someone messaged me and I want to give it a mention here. I'll see. It came to me on Facebook. It's just a mum who I'm sure someone out there can help her son. So bear with me whilst I open this while it's still on my mind, because I do commit as much as I can when people reach out to me to try and get a resolution to it. Right, where is it? My messenger is very, very busy. Okay, here we go. Hi, Greg. I wonder, could you highlight this for me on your show? My son is looking for a plumbing apprenticeship. He's finding it very difficult to get an employer to take him on. He's rang around, but no luck so far. He's 18 years old. He's just got his Leaving Cert results. He doesn't want to go on to college. I know tradesmen are busy and maybe don't have the time to spend teaching these young people. Maybe someone listening to your show could help. We're in the Inishowen area, in and around Buncrana. So maybe out there is a plumber who wants to take on as an apprentice a very keen 18-year-old who wants to get into a trade, and it's a really good idea to at this time, but just can't find a plumber to work with in and around the Buncrana area. So we've got a mum who's obviously very keen to see the best for her son. Maybe you are a plumber in and around the Buncrana area and you want to maybe have a meeting with this guy and see if he would suit your business. Get in touch with us, 07491 25,000, and we can put you in touch with them. So it's a young lad just looking for a start. He wants to be a plumber, but is just needing that apprenticeship. He's in and around the Buncrana area. So it might just so happen that clicks with someone today, and that's why I wanted to mention it. There was a woman standing in the ditch on the bend part of the road between Lifford and Letterkenny beyond the dual carriageway. She scared the life out of me. I jerked the wheel even though I wasn't actually near her. She just gave me such a fright. It could have so easily caused an accident if there was oncoming traffic. Okay, but she was off the road, wasn't she? Standing in the ditch. But anyway, okay. We take all comments here. It's also important for the safety of the dog. It's so sad when an overexcited dog needs to be put down or given away. Indeed, and there's more talk of banning certain breeds of dogs as well, isn't there? Or is that in Britain? I can't remember which news channel I was watching at the time. Right, okay. Wednesday's 9 Til Noon Show will continue after we take this quick break.
It's time for NCBI Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Wednesday, the 13th of September. You're playing on the blue sheet. The reference number is S3. It's game number 37. The numbers are 85, 24, 33, 18, 3, 81, 54, 60, 83, and finally 42. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your NCBI bingo information at highlandradio.com.
From the wild Atlantic Way to the West End, fly with Aer Lingus from Ireland West Airport Knock to London Heathrow from just €55.99 one way as part of a return trip. Use these daily flights to go from Mayo to Mexico and beyond. Connect via Heathrow to over 80 destinations worldwide. Book now at aerlingus.com. Fares are subject to conditions and availability.
Déithfá córa bha agad aniu a déithach saoil a hábháil. Is féidir saoil den a hábháil trí orgán na Jónú, ach ní raibh plé riomh ag golóirgwin fi Jónú orgán lenar dailach nó lenar górda. Agus is fi ré a rán agur iad sin a dhéanach an cinenne ar son. Mar sin, cuidig leis an gcinne sin a dhéanamh níos éasca. Tá tuile eolais ar hse.ie/organ donation, agus bíoch Jónú orgán ina ábhar cainte agah aniu. Ó aimimenacht na Seirbhíse Slánta.
Sit back, relax, and sink into the comfort of a new sofa. Available now at the Easy Living Furniture Spectacular Sofa Sale, with interest-free finance options on a wide range of sofas that are in stock and ready for delivery. Now is the perfect time to treat yourself and invest in comfort, style, and superb value for money. The Spectacular Sofa Sale is now on in Easy Living Furniture, Crescent Link Retail Park.
The 9 Til Noon Show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
A caller says, how come the HSE don't recognise these qualifications from the north, etc., when they do from India and all these other countries? Well, they all have to go through the CORU process, as far as I understand. Maybe it's more streamlined when they're recruiting overseas. I don't know. Right, Donal Healy is Head of Aviation, Business Marketing and Communications at Ireland West Airport. Are you there, Donal?
I am, Greg. How are you?
Good, I'm good. Good morning to you. Ireland West Airport, a.k.a. Knock Airport. Before we talk about the winter and beyond, how was summer 2023 at the airport?
Summer 2023, Greg, was actually a record-breaking summer at the airport. We carried close to 600,000 passengers by the time the summer period ends, which is about almost 10% higher than last year, or on average about 50,000 extra passengers. So we've enjoyed really a record-breaking summer, I suppose, highlighted by the fact that August was the busiest month in the airport's history, where we carried 102,000 passengers, and also enjoyed the actual single busiest day ever in the airport on the 29th of August, when we carried over 4,300 passengers in the day. So a very busy summer break, and great to see after, I suppose, a couple of years of significant disruption due to the COVID variant.
Yeah, you must be pleased, Donald, with how quickly it has bounced back.
Yeah, absolutely, Greg. I suppose, I remember sitting in my office here in April 2020, looking out in a car park with about 5 cars in it, and that's no exaggeration. I'm wondering, will it ever return, to what it was? And all the experts had forecast that would be 2025 at the earliest before aviation returned to pre-COVID levels. So to be reaching the numbers we're reaching this year, which will culminate at the end of the year in us having a record year of in the region of 830,000 passengers. It's been surprising. It's been very welcome, and I suppose confounded all critics.
And what is that down to? I mean, obviously there's a huge appetite for people to travel, but they're not going to travel for the sake of it. You have to have the right routes opened. You have to have the right times, the right availability. So what has been the key to the success this year so far?
Well, last summer was extremely busy, Greg, and it rebounded awful strongly once the restrictions were lifted. And the kind of feeling was then that people were, eager to get away because they'd been effectively locked up for 2 years. So we weren't sure, was that, a one-off, and that people were traveling maybe a couple of times last summer. But this summer it appears again that people have decided they're having their holiday. They're not going to give up the holiday despite, I suppose, pressures on cost of living and pressures with fuel and different things in the economy. They've decided they're still going. For example, we've had record numbers on a number of our routes this year, such as the likes of Alicante, Malaga, Cologne in Germany, which you've been to, of course, Milan.
Well, so remember, that's a long time since you took me to Cologne, Donald. You're going to have to up your game here, sunshine.
Yeah. So it's a culmination, Greg, of people seem to have made the conscious decision that they're having their holiday regardless of what's happening in the economy. But also, as you said, I suppose we've added a lot of new routes this year. We've added routes to the likes of Lanzarote and Tenerife, which people have been really, really looking forward to having them back. We've introduced, of course, a new Heathrow service in March. So we've added a lot of new routes, and that combined with people, as I said, making the conscious decision that they're not going to give up the family holiday or the short break with their friends has led to record numbers.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I am sure the majority of traffic is outbound, but it is also, with these routes, a gateway into the West, more affordable, arguably more beautiful part of the country in terms of sort of inbound traffic.
Yeah, and that's where I suppose the likes of the Cologne route, our route from Milan, our route from Girona in Barcelona, them routes would typically be about 60% inbound, 40% outbound, Greg, in terms of the passenger profile. Particularly Cologne. Cologne has actually had a record summer. And I was actually talking to someone anecdotally there on Thursday who said they came back in from Cologne on Thursday and they said about 80% of the flight was full of Germans, and that's in the middle of September. So that's been very encouraging to see, and that obviously has a spin-off for tourism in the region. But I guess also the likes of the introduction of the new Heathrow service that started in March. You can now connect to 80 destinations both ways. So if you think about it, on the first flight that came in here on the 29th of March, we had 4 people travelling from Sydney who connected through Heathrow to Knock. We had people going out to New York, coming in from New York. So the connectivity that has brought really has been a game changer for the region, in the sense that you can travel now from anywhere in the world via Heathrow, a couple of hours layover, and straight into the west and northwest of Ireland.
At this time, do you actively market Knock to New York or Knock to Sydney? Do you know what I mean? Like, are people making their own connections, or is there an opportunity to say effectively, you load your luggage on at Ireland West and then next stop New York, albeit with a change down the line? Is that, maybe that's already in place, Donald?
It actually is, Greg, and if you open the Donegal Democrat this week, you'll see a double page spread there promoting that very fact that you can connect.
I'm good, huh?
You can connect to 80 destinations across the world, and you made a very good point there. That's the education piece, and it'll take a bit of time. Is that you can actually today go onto aerlingus.com or ba.com and book not to New York for any dates in the next 12 months, check your bag in here at the airport and collect it in New York or Boston or Sydney. So it is a seamless check-in experience. You're not having to get off in Heathrow, go back, check in, go through security, come back out, check in again. You'll get your bag when you land in your end destination. So that is a big selling point, particularly for business people as well, connecting, who may have had to travel to Dublin yet, you know.
I mean, there was a point I could almost have got my post delivered to Ireland West Airport. I was through it quite a bit when things were different, but it was normally like sort of from September on, because it suited better. And plus, I love being here in the summer. There's a different clientele, but still plenty of options are there for right through the winter out of the airport?
There is, yeah, and it's a funny one, Greg, was June, July and August are always the peak months in terms of the number of passengers that go through. September and October are actually very strong months at the airport, and it's a different mix of passenger. Obviously, a lot of families will go through in July and August, but in September you see a lot of couples, a lot of groups, hens and stags, football traffic comes back very strongly. So it is a very, very busy months of September and October. But then as you look to the winter, it does get quieter. There's no question about that. Obviously, the frequencies aren't as high as they will be during the summer. But this winter, we're delighted to see the return of Lanzarote and Tenerife. So there'll be some much needed sun for all those miserable evenings in the west and northwest of Ireland. As much as we love it, we have to admit the winter can be quite gloomy here. So we have weekly flights to Lanzarote, Tenerife and Malaga this year at Ryanair. So we're hoping that they will prove undoubtedly popular with people in this region.
You know, and finally, success breeds success. You know, particularly the likes of your Ryanairs and others as well. They will look at footfall, they'll look at numbers, they'll look at potential. We've broke a record this year. Why can't another record be broken next year or the year beyond that? It leaves the airport presumably in a very strong position in terms of, you know, maybe even attracting more stuff for next year and beyond.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've hit the nail on the head. Success breeds success. When other airlines see good traffic numbers like we're reporting, we're going to have a record this year. They're seeing very strong load factors, aka the number of people on the plane. This obviously strengthens the business case when we go and meet other airlines. And that's always the challenge, Greg, is trying to get in additional new airlines. We've had the likes of Lufthansa before, we've had direct flights to the States before, and as we bounce back stronger now and airlines are trying to slowly getting back to their pre-pandemic balance sheet levels, if you'd like, it does open up new doors. And we would hope, yes, this year has been a record year, but we certainly see the magic number there of 1 million passengers annually. That is really that's the aspiration, that hopefully in the next 2 to 3 years we can reach that target. And to do that, we need more routes, we need more growth. And hopefully we've grown 15% this year. That next year again we can add some further growth.
Yeah, okay, fair play, Donald. It is a local airport to Donegal, certainly from the south of the county, comfortably achievable in an hour and a half, which is grand on the way up, but particularly pleasant on the way back as well. You're back in your own house in not too distant a future, so that add an hour onto most other parts of Donegal, and it's very, very accessible for people. So, Donald, listen, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Greg, and thanks to all your listeners. As you said there, we've had upwards of 35,000 passengers from Donegal using the airport this year, so that's hugely appreciated by us all down here.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Donald Healy, Head of Aviation, Business Marketing and Communications with Ireland West Airport, aka, of course, Knock Airport. Right, okay. We have a response from the Cialta Group on our conversation with Grania yesterday. I just want to have a quick read through that. Greg, speaking of hospitals, last Sunday I had such a scare and had to go to Sligo University Hospital. I couldn't get to the hospital myself, so I had to avail of a taxi. The lady who drove us was named Grace, and she was so unbelievably kind. We hadn't a clue where to go, but she parked up and got us all checked in and ensured I was safe. Grace, if you're listening, I'm so grateful for your kindness. Thank you. Right, okay, so that's a taxi driver called Grace, and went above and beyond, took this person to Sligo University Hospital and actually brought them in through the front doors and got them settled. Okay, that's fair play. Grace, I hope you are listening, or someone who knows Grace can pass those kind words on to her.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com. The 9 Til Noon Show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Student loans now available and free banking for students from your local and friendly credit union. Call 91-02126 or email loans@letterkennycu.ie.
This Thursday, Highland Radio is hitting the road to celebrate Love Donegal Day. Join the adventure with Kevin Fury as he explores the heart of Donegal, showcasing just some of its stunning locations, like the Dunlow River Walk, Fanet Lighthouse and Fort Dunree. Tune in all day for a journey you won't forget and follow us on social media. Love Donegal Day, proudly brought to you by Donegal County Council. Together we can share what makes Donegal special throughout the world by using hashtag Love Donegal and hashtag Dundonalabu across social media.
The new Autumn-Winter Collection Aviator Jacket. Heavyweight, oversized, and lined with faux shearling. Feels like you wrapped yourself in a duvet. That's way more fashionable to leave the house in. F&F makes fashion sense. Available at Tesco. Product subject to availability. Available in the majority of larger stores.
How we use electricity can be smarter, cleaner, and greener. At Electric Ireland, we can help guide you there. You see, our new Net Zero Hub has all you need to know about smart meter plans, home EV charging, solar panels, and much more. Making your usage clearer, your trips greener, your home cozier, and your world brighter. Find our Net Zero Hub at electricireland.ie.
Join us for the Highland Radio Huli in the beautiful resort of Sulu from the 14th to the 21st of September 2024 for a week of non-stop country music and crack. Join me, David James, alongside some of the biggest names in country music. We've got the legendary Margot, the sensational John McNichol, the fabulous Robert Mazzell, Claudia Buckley, Olivia Douglas, Hugo Duncan, Jim Devine, Sean Cuddy, and many more. Your package includes 7 nights of pure luxury at the 4-star Sol Costa Jurata Hotel with dinner and breakfast included. You'll have access to all the incredible shows, poolside entertainment, airport transfers, and a delicious dinner every evening. All this for just €817 per person sharing. Don't miss out on this unforgettable experience. Book your spot today by contacting Country Music Tours on 074 9119 955 or email info@countrymusictours.ie. The Highland Radio Huli in Saloon, 14th to the 21st of September. It's the country music extravaganza you won't want to miss. We'll see you there.
All right, good morning to Kathy Slevin, John, Lisa, Maeve, Devlin, Todd, also Rosemary, Siobhan, JJ, Hugh, Dolores, Annie, Charlie, Audrey, all watching the show. You can watch the show every day here at the 9 Til Noon Show on our YouTube, Highland Radio Ireland, on your smart TV or your Fire Stick and across your mobile devices. And we're also on Facebook, Highland Hub, Highland Radio News and Sport. And joining us now is Kate Flynn. And maybe if you're watching, you'll see an image of Kate Flynn's property and you might be able to help to get it back to her. Hi, Kate. How are you keeping?
Hi, yeah, not so bad.
Rightio. So we were yesterday on Community Guard Information. An appeal was put out there for a caravan which was stolen from Buncrana. So tell us when and how, as much as you know, how it was taken, Kate.
Yeah, it's left at the back of our house and it was stolen on Thursday the 7th at about 3 a.m. We had like a hitch lock on it, but they've obviously just, I don't know, they've got that off somehow. We know it was seen in Fawn at 3:13 a.m. and then it turned left at the foot in just after that and was seen then in Burnfoot as well. But that's as far as we've got so far.
And I'm correct in saying that we now know or suspect it was being towed by a blue van?
We think it was blue. We've had witnesses think it was blue. So we're just kind of going through and the guards are going through the CCTV because it was night. It's hard to tell.
Okay, so don't don't put all your eggs in that basket, listeners, but don't disregard it either. It may well have been towed by a van.
Definitely a van.
Okay.
It was definitely a van.
A larger van, Kate, is it?
Yeah, medium-sized van. Kind of like a Renault kind of panel van.
Now, it's beautiful.
Not small van.
For those who are watching, they'll see the image of it. It's a beautiful, clean caravan. It is distinctive in that it has a sort of a blue wave going across the side of it and some markings towards the front. So as I say, and it's got an aerial poking out the side of it, which you don't see all of the time. So it is quite distinctive. Where do you think it's been taken?
I don't know. It's definitely gone over the border anyway,
Right.
so I'm not sure. I'm just hoping it's not gone over to England or Scotland yet, but we've told all the ports and we've tried to get the word out as much as possible, hoping that someone will see, or even whoever's took it will just leave it then, think it's not worth it. Like, we love that van so much. All the kids are devastated. All the kids' stuff was still in it because we'd been away to Electric Picnic and we hadn't emptied it, so our coats and clothes and toys, and we're just devastated.
And it's full of memories as much as anything else, isn't it, Kate?
Full of memories, the sentimental things. Our wee tooth fairy pillow. Our little girl lost a tooth in Electric Picnic, so we dropped the pillow. And that all my kids have had that pillow. It was mine when I was a little girl, and just little daft things like that, but mean the world to us. But obviously, whoever stole it don't care about things like that.
Yeah, and was it obvious where it was parked? And you did all you could in terms of having a lock on it. But do you feel that someone knew it was there, or?
They've obviously seen it. Apparently there was other things stolen that night. There was a horse box, and a few people have come forward saying there's been other things. So I don't know whether there was a sort of gang of people going round doing the rounds in Buncrana. But I mean, we're kind of at the back, you know. We're not. There's not loads of cars that go past our place, but obviously they've spotted it. Apparently, our neighbours think they saw a black car earlier on the Thursday, seeing the caravan stopped and pulled up beside it. So maybe that was them checking if there was wheel locks and stuff, and then they've come back later on with the van.
And you know, with drones nowadays, and they've got, you know, long range and great cameras on them. I wouldn't be surprised if quite a bit of scouting goes on with the likes of them, as well as the sentimental value. There is, and I'm not asking you to put a figure on it, but this is obviously, it's a very clean yoke. I presume all the extras were on it with it as well. Kate, were they?
Yeah, I mean, we got a loan, we got a credit union loan, so we only got it last year.
Wow.
So we've still got 4 years to pay on the loan, so it's not even paid off yet. And yeah, we've been camping for years in tents, so all our camping gear, like the camping tables, camping chairs, cookers, all that's in there as well. And that's, you know, things that we've been buying over the years and collecting when we was in the tent. So yeah, there's a lot of. And plus the kids' computers, the switches was in it. And
oh no, right. Yeah, there's a lot gone.
Just devastated, yeah.
Right, if anyone has any further information on where it is, or maybe you have CCTV footage that might identify a number plate on the vehicle seen towing it, anything like that. As I say, we have the image up here now, but I know the majority of people are listening. The image is on the Garda Síochána Facebook page as well. It's quite a distinctive, but not unique, but it's quite a distinctive caravan. And you can hear from Kate, there's a lot of sentimental and actual value in it as well, with all the extras that would have been loaded up into it as well. So, Kate, listen, we hope that people spot this Adria Dora 532 and contact the Gardaí with any information that they may have, especially if you saw a van, medium-sized, possibly blue in colour, towing it away 3:30 a.m. That's the early hours of Friday morning. Is that right, Kate?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thursday night, Friday morning, yeah.
All right, and listen, the suspicion is perhaps it could be boarding a boat to go somewhere else, or it could be just up the road. Don't rule anything in and out, listeners, and you could help Kate in getting this back. All right, then I do hope you get sorted.
Thank you so much. Thanks for putting it out there as well. We appreciate it.
That's all right. It's our pleasure, Kate. Thanks very much. Kate Flynn there. 086 60 25,000. WhatsApp and text if you want to pass stuff on as well. Right. We are joined on the programme now by Mairead. Mairead, good morning to you.
Hi, Greg. How are you?
I'm okay. What's your recent experience, Mairead?
Greg, I just sent a text in because I was listening to the conversation around the dogs and people's fear of dogs, and then some other people's opinions around that. And I suppose it was the text that came in from the person who, I can't remember exactly what it was.
It's about the entitlement, wasn't it?
Yeah, that there was entitlement and that people feel that it's fine, you know, to bring their babies everywhere, but yet then they have this opinion about dogs. And I suppose, first of all, I'd say everybody is very entitled to their opinion, and I'm a firm believer in that. But I think people who, you know, in relation to dogs, people really need to look at at this from the child's point of view, not from the adult's point of view who's with the child when a bit of kerfuffle gets up in a park or on a footpath or whatever because a dog is passing. And I suppose from my point of view, I would be very conscious that if we went to a restaurant or went out anywhere in public, if my child was crying or acting up or whatever, I would remove that child, both for their sake, but also for the other customers in the restaurant. And I wouldn't let my child go over and crawl around somebody else's feet or crawl all over them
I
or
wouldn't
whatever.
mind that, to be honest with you, Mairead, because, I think, I suppose maybe it's as a parent myself, I mean, obviously you're not going to allow them to run riot as such, but I don't mind the noise of a baby crying or a toddler acting up a little bit or something like that there. It's never ever bothered me, but I do understand that you want to respect all others that are in that restaurant, but I don't.
Yeah,
most people don't.
And I think, I actually don't mind it either, but I'm conscious that other people would, or I'm very conscious as well, like ourselves, people who maybe don't have a huge amount of money and go out for a night and they go out for a break, they don't really want to hear my child crying then in the restaurant. So that's what I'm saying. But I suppose our situation is during COVID, and I was just saying to Donna Marie there, I hope I don't end up now in bits talking about this, because it was a very stressful few years, but during COVID, my younger daughter developed a serious fear of dogs, so much so that she came to the point where she couldn't actually leave the house. And it was during COVID, lots and lots of people got dogs during lockdown, and it was, a new novelty in the house and something for them to do, to go out and walk their new dog. But a lot of those people didn't actually know how to manage a dog in public.
And was there a particular experience that triggered this in your daughter, or did it just so happen that she didn't like this? Because it's probably looked huge to her.
No, it just developed during COVID, and I'd say it was lockdown with small children as well. COVID was out there. You weren't really allowed to go out to it, and maybe the only thing she could equate that to with a dog, I don't know. Nobody knows actually. But we got to the point where we couldn't leave the house. We couldn't even get from the house to the car for the fear that a dog might approach while we were doing that. Couldn't get her down to school. There was one day, which is actually probably one of the most upsetting days, where we actually lost our childminder because our childminder told us that my child was so distressing that her own children were distraught by the time she got them to school. And I actually agree with her. I have no problem with her telling me that. And she actually did me a favour, because then I thought, actually, we need serious help here as opposed to trying to do this ourselves.
So she would have a panic attack even at the thought of leaving the house for fear of encountering a dog. So the house became the absolute safe space.
Absolute safe space. And so did school, because the school were fabulous, but also dogs were not allowed through the school gates. But I just think, that when people, you often hear this discussed on the radio, and you often hear it discussed in groups of people where, people say, well, you're allowed to bring your baby and I'm not allowed to bring my dog. But I think people that's their opinion on how they feel about it. They're not thinking about how the child feels about it.
And one thing
it doesn't
too,
matter. I feel it's my daughter.
Yeah, and one thing too, Mairead, that some dog owners don't seem to get, and it's not a pile-on dog owners because we all have to share this space, is they attribute the size or the cuteness or the friendliness that they seem to know of that dog as to why other people shouldn't be afraid of it. It doesn't take into consideration or understand an irrational fear or a real fear that someone else might have. It doesn't matter how wee and fluffy and cute it is. People with a fear of dogs, and especially an acute fear like your daughter developed, it doesn't matter how cute they are. If they're uncontrolled or nearby, or even I think in your daughter's case, if she saw one, it's incredibly triggering, and it triggers a very, very real response. It's not just someone being fussy. There's a flight or fear trigger in there as well. Like it's an actual reaction.
It absolutely is. Like, we have people saying to us all the time, oh, she's harmless, she won't touch you, she's a lovely dog, she's just a small thing, her bark's worse than her bite, she only wants to play with you. And like, I've actually seen people, now luckily not with my child, but I've seen in our local park dogs actually jumping up on children being hysterical, and the owners with them saying, but sure, she's only lovely, she only wants to play. And you can see that the child's about to collapse,
There was one time I think with Hudson, what might have triggered it, because I was thinking about it, and as I say, it's nothing like what you've experienced, and it's something that we're working through at the moment. But I remember we were sitting outside a place when he was in the pram during lockdown. You know, it was all outside, and there was a group of people, lovely family, don't get me wrong, but they had a big black dog with a bit of grey or brown on it, and it was on one of those extendable leads, and they would let the dog run at people, and then it would get a jerk back, and they thought it was hilarious, and he was cute and he won't harm you. And I just wonder, are things like that where these little concerns can come from. Now, this is not like, I mean, obviously after that experience with the childminder, and I think you're very gracious in understanding that, you thought, right, this is not something that can be allowed continue. So it's not resolved yet, but you as a family have had to go to great lengths to try and help your daughter in this regard. So can you talk a little bit about that, Mairead?
Sure, yeah. So I suppose that remembering now that this was all during lockdown, you're kind of limited in what you could do as well, you know. But I think it's important for people to know who might be in this situation that the SPCA run courses for children who are anxious around dogs. And for their family. So we did the online one during COVID, and we're going to go back now because obviously, you know, time has moved on, and thankfully we've progressed with this as well. So we're going to go and do the in-person one now as well. And that's a really good resource, and it's free. You just, if you wish to, you just give a little donation then to the SPCA. We also referred ourselves into the psychology services, and whilst the waiting list is very long, and I'm very conscious of all the conversations I've had over the last few days as well about services, the psychology service while you're on the wait list had an advice clinic, and that was just a saviour because, you know, we can do so much, but then someone else coming in with fresh eyes might give you a few other ideas. So they never actually saw my daughter, but the support was still there by helping us to kind of move forward a little bit with what we were doing and then going on to the next plan. And I think it's, you know, as I said, my real reason for calling is to ask people to think about it, that it's the child, it's not anybody else around, it's not how the parent reacts. Because, you know, like I would try not to give out. If I met somebody in a park, say, who had a dog that really was, when I say out of control, they wouldn't be out of control if you met them, but they're too much out of control for my daughter to be there. So I would go up and say, you know, your dog, because I'm not afraid of dogs, I'd say your dog's absolutely gorgeous, but we're trying to work through something with our daughter at the minute, so could you just, you know, keep it back a little bit? And most people are very good. But as I say, one thing that I think people really need to be aware of is, unfortunately, has moved from having a fear of dogs, which she still has, albeit it's not the severity that it was, but she has now moved on to have generalized anxiety. So she'll focus on something else. And the psychologist told us that where a child has a very, very severe fear of something, that is quite common then to happen afterwards, that they'll then focus their kind of obsession isn't the right word, but they'll focus on something else. It's not far off it. I know exactly what she's going through. I do understand that. It's not an obsession, but it's that you something has to take up that energy. So if it's switched from dogs, it doesn't go away. It has to go to something else. But hopefully you'll be able to work through that, Mairead, and things are progressing in the right direction. But then, of course, with everything you've been through, and I suppose then when you hear these conversations, you want to, not, I was going to say shake people, but clearly you don't, but sort of say, please just try and understand a little bit more deeper than just being a very loving dog owner. You have to think of the consequences for other people and the impact it has on a whole family. It's not just your daughter, because it's very clear that it permeates throughout the entire family as well. And in terms of what you can do and how you can plan things and stuff. Absolutely, yeah. Like we would have to have a pre-plan no matter what we go to do now. We have to think it out, plan it, and she needs to know there's a plan. And the school are very good at that as well. Like if they're going out for a little walk or, you know, they're going somewhere, they have a plan. She knows what the plan is. She knows who she's going to stand beside. She knows who she goes to if she's not feeling right. And yeah, so...
okay. It'll improve for her, Mairead. It will improve for her.
Yeah, it will. We're getting there.
Exactly. All right, stay strong. Thanks so much, Mairead. I appreciate it. And fair play to you. I know it's not easy for you to talk about. Take care. That is Mairead there. Any views?
The 9 Till Noon Show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
My spelling always stopped me from doing things. But thanks to my class with Donegal Education and Training Board, I've learned how the computer can help. It was hard to take the first step, but now there is no holding me back.
Literacy changes lives. Make a change in your life today by contacting Donegal ETB and find a class that suits you.
If you'd like to volunteer to help someone make that change, call in to your local Donegal Education and Training Board Further Education and Training Centre.
Supported by Adult Literacy for Life, the Government of Ireland and the European Union.
Well, Grace, how are you today?
I'm good. I've just been down to the Made to Measure Fireplaces showroom in Creasla. They have an incredible selection of over 40 colours for kitchen worktops. And guess what? For a limited time, they're offering a 40% discount on any electric fire when you purchase a worktop there.
40%? That's an amazing deal, Grace.
Absolutely. And trust me, if the discount alone doesn't sway you, their huge selection of fireplaces, stoves, wood pellet burners, beams and stone cladding certainly will.
Contact Made to Measure Fireplaces Creasla on 074 91 38 365 on Facebook, Instagram and on mtmfireplaces.ie.
It's the home of the vegan butchers, the artisan bakers, the freestyle lyricists, and the trouser suit striders. It's the urban jungle, where the everyday meets the latest wave. And you could see it all from your Seat SUV. From the sharp lines and smart style of the Arona to the bold and beautiful Ateca. And if size is your thing, the Tarraco comes as a 7-seater. See what's in store at seat.ie for our latest offers. And visit DMG Motors, Clough Road, Donegal Town. Because your new Seat is just waiting to see what's next.
Betty Morgan talks about her son.
Eamon was one of life's givers. When he had a sudden brain hemorrhage and sadly died, his organ donation helped 2 people transform their lives. It's consoled us so often. Eamon was a giver in life, and to now he's a giver of life.
Organ donors save lives. Make today the day you decide to be an organ donor and let your family know your wishes. For more, visit hse.ie/organ donation from the HSE.
Okay, Leah McGowran's journalist with Silicon Republic, and Lee McGowran, I beg your pardon, and joins us on the programme now. Lee, good morning to you.
Good morning, Greg. How are you?
I'm delighted because iPhone have come over to the dark side. The iPhone 15 has been launched, and after years and years and years of pressure, they are now going to be shipping them with a USB-C charging port. This is it's a small deal, but it's a big deal as well from a technical point of view.
I'd say so. It's a big change for Apple. Apple will be one of the few sort of big tech companies, particularly in the smartphone sector, that has not been using or shifting to USB-C. They've stuck with their own Lightning connector. So there's loads of different types of chargers out there, but Lightning is specific, to my knowledge, to Apple devices. The EU has been pushing against that for years, and they recently, I believe last October, the European Parliament voted that all mobile phones, tablets, cameras, whatever, sold in the EU have to have a USB-C charging port by the end of next year. So Apple has bit the bullet on this one, which is good news for most people. Bad news if you're sticking with older iPhone models. Obviously, that'll be one problem to deal with.
How excited are people about this new iPhone? Because we are at a point and I love my technology, but like say, for instance, with smartwatches, now you can get them with ECGs and stuff. And there's not an awful lot further, I think, they can go with, maybe with design or whatever, but from a tech point of view, maybe I'm being naive in that. But anyway, but even with phones, you get a good phone, you get last year's good phone. This year, it seems the only thing they can really tinker with is the camera.
I would sort of agree with that. They can always make Apple tends to make incremental upgrades. Each model is a little bit sleeker, a little bit neater, slight increase in, improvements from each one, and maybe the occasional single big feature. To my knowledge, the biggest ones for these latest models would be that the cameras do seem very, very strong. 48 megapixels front camera, multiple zoom lenses, so very, very advanced it seems. The stronger models, the Pro and Pro Max, also have like triple zoom and up to 1 terabyte in storage space. So that's pretty significant, I would say. But I would agree, I don't think they're too... They never really break the mold with these models, but to be honest, Apple doesn't need to. I mean, they're at the very top in terms of market capitalization worldwide, and they're also at the top of the premium smartphone market. I believe last year, Apple phones represented 75% of all premium smartphones. That smartphone's over, let's say, $600, sold in 2022. And they also have a very strong market share in the refurbished market. So I'm sure many of your listeners they don't buy the latest model, but maybe 1 or 2 years down the line, they'll buy a refurbished iPhone 15 for far cheaper. And it's still a significantly powerful product. So Apple's in a very strong position. They don't really need to do anything too groundbreaking. So I'd say some people are definitely excited, and they will. From what I've seen before, they're going to get their sales in. Absolutely.
Yeah, and are they under any pressure? Because there are, some strong contenders out there. It is a very loyal base, but it's like any business, really. You can't take that for granted either. So, they are dominant. But as I say, you've got the flip phone now. I think Samsung have done a fantastic job, actually, in marketing that. They've really gone to town in it. I've never held one, so I don't really know about that. I suppose that's a huge innovation. But are iPhone in such a comfortable position that they can just really tinker with the camera?
I would say they are in a very good position. Now, obviously, they still have to keep innovating, keep upgrading. Tech is never silent, so they can never rest too easy on the throne. I would agree that Samsung's flip phones are a very interesting one. It's one they've been sort of honing in on over the last couple of years. That would be a potential challenge, and obviously Samsung is still a big player. Samsung, in my opinion, has suffered in the last year. We've seen the chip shortage and certain chip issues have affected lots of companies. Samsung in particular, I believe in some of their latest quarterly reports, their profits have fallen significantly. Gross profit, their income went down by more than 90% compared to last year. So they're in a sort of licking their wounds phase right now. Whereas I think currently Apple is in a good position to remain dominant. I mean, look, I think there's lots of alternative phones out there, and I'm personally not one to buy the absolute latest model for the latest price because I feel it will be half the price within 1 year. But from a global standpoint, I think Apple is currently in a good position. And the iPhone has remained a very dominant phone.
But that's because they have a frustratingly loyal fan base. Like, I am currently a Poco 5G. I think it was €280. I have to do video editing. Camera's not fantastic, but anything that I need to do on it, I can do. It's edge to edge. The camera's built into the screen. It's got fingerprint. Obviously, NFC. It's got hypercharging, and all for under 300 quid. Bang that on a $14.99 contract. Do you know what I mean? But I used to be that guy that I had to get the very latest, because I was an Android person, still am, of course, the very latest Samsung. Apple, though, have a really loyal, and I don't get it. I mean, having your entire app drawer on the screen, I don't understand that. What's wrong with people?
I would say they definitely do a very loyal brand. I mean, we have to remember the history of the iPhone. Like, when it first came out years ago now, it was very much a groundbreaking design. It looked so revolutionary. It was, the first non-brick Nokia-style phone, I would say, of its time. So it's kind of held up that sort of top brand mentality. And there are definitely people out there who just believe, having the latest iPhone is the biggest sign of prestige. It's not something I would personally agree with, but they are still powerful phones. I think there are very good alternatives out there personally, but they are still good ones. I can respect the market loyalty they have developed over the years,
Yeah.
Though I would have issues with the fact that each model is only being slightly upgraded. I think I'm hoping for a contender to really shake things up. Like I believe the Nutting phone is a small startup that's very much trying to shake up the market. It looks very unique. I'm not saying I'm exactly the big fan of that specifically, but it's nice to see new products come in, because I think the more groups come in to shake up an industry, the more innovative products you're going to have, rather than just constantly having,
it's just the iPhone's so restrictive. Like, if you want to download, sideload an app onto the iPhone, I mean, maybe you can, but for the most part, you can't. I just don't understand. Do they still not have a headphone socket? They got rid of that. They never came back.
That's one thing I am personally very unhappy with. Yeah, push to the wireless. That's it. It's all designed to, in my view, it's, Apple also makes its money from selling their accessory products. In my opinion, accessory products that have a very short shelf life and have to be constantly replaced. And I don't think it's very coincidental that Apple was the first $1 trillion company in the world, to my knowledge. So they've definitely made money on this. I have issues with new products making older accessories completely obsolete, and we saw that with the move to wireless headphones. The next phone that brings back a jack for wired earphones will have my money. That's
all right. Okay. Listen, Lee, thanks as always. Lovely to chat to you. Fair play to you. Lee McGarry there, journalist with Silicon Republic.
The 9 Till Noon Show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
How about you? Are you team breakfast Pink Lady? Or feeling peckish Pink Lady? Bedtime Pink Lady? Or after work Pink Lady? Dessert Pink Lady? Or snack time Pink Lady? But why choose? With Pink Lady apples, it's always time for a treat. Meet Pink Lady apples at the ploughing from the 19th to the 21st of September and try to win a trip to France.
Don't miss the big baby event at Lidl. Mix and match multi-buys across our award-winning Loopy-Loo Premium Nappies range from 2 packs for €2. Get dreamy prices on 100% cotton baby sleep suits, 2 for €6. And feed the little ones at little cost. Loopy-Loo food range 20% off on Lidl Plus. Go on, shop without compromise. Go full Lidl today.
From the wild Atlantic Way to the West End, fly with Aer Lingus from Ireland West Airport Knock to London Heathrow from just €55.99 one way as part of a return trip. Use these daily flights to go from Mayo to Mexico and beyond. Connect via Heathrow to over 80 destinations worldwide. Book now at airlingus.com. Fares are subject to conditions and availability.
PDO thread lifts and skin boosters, which rejuvenate the skin by improving facial contours, lifting and tightening the jowls, neck, cheeks and eyebrows, are available at Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic, Gweedore. To choose the right aesthetic treatment for you, contact Mary Ferry, your aesthetic practitioner. Also offering fat-dissolving treatments, dermal fillers and laser treatments for all skin conditions. Hair and makeup packages also available. Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic, Gweedore. 07495 325 75.
Milford Tiles, Wood Flooring and Bathware, Milford Retail Park. New wood flooring just arrived. 8mm AC laminate, $9.99 a square yard. 10mm, $12.50 a square yard. 12mm, $14.99 a square yard. Beautiful 8mm AC4 gloss laminate, $16.99 a square yard. All in stock, fitters available. Milford Tiles, Wood Flooring and Bathware, 083 091 0707.
The County Donegal Blackfish Sheep Breeders Association annual female sale of cast ewes, hoggets and ewe lambs will take place in Ballybuffet and Stranorlar Mart on Wednesday the 13th of September at 6 p.m. 3 ewe lambs will be sold on the day in aid of the Donegal Hospice.
With all the stories that matter across the Northwest, it's Greg Hughes on the 9 to Noon Show on Highland Radio.
And it is 11 o'clock. Let's get a news update. Good morning, Donald Kavanagh.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. As RTE bosses prepare for grilling from TDs and senators later, some ministers are calling for the broadcaster to sell off its Donnybrook land to pay its bills. Senior RTE managers are appearing before the Oireachtas Media Committee this lunchtime to face further questions over its finances and government. RTE sold 9 acres of land for housing in 2017, raising €107 million. Finn Harps are launching a fresh fundraising drive to allow work recommence on the new community stadium in Stranorlar, which the club will use in the future. The project received backing from Donegal County Council, the FAI and government, but rising costs mean it now carries a price tag of €7.3 million. That leaves the club facing a €700,000 shortfall it must address. Club President Ian Harkin told Greg on the show this morning he's confident that money can be raised, but in the meantime he said the release of government funding is contingent on the club proving that it has the funds to proceed. The GRA is expected to confirm shortly that the majority of its members have voted no confidence in the Garda Commissioner. Drew Harris has already said he won't resign regardless of the outcome of the vote. It's believed over 80% responded to the poll, sending their votes to the offices of an independent auditor. They were counted yesterday. They'll be announced just before midday. Work's expected to begin shortly to open up Lifford Common for development. Lifford Stranorlar Municipal District has been told plans to build 60 social houses in the area are progressing. Local councillor Jerry Crawford says he believes a number of business people are looking at moving into the area, and the planned new community hospital will also be located there in the future. And the North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has said his country stands with Russia. He was speaking during a meeting with Vladimir Putin. He also appeared to call the war in Ukraine a sacred fight for Moscow's security and sovereignty. And we're back with news headlines again at 12 noon.
Donald, thank you very much for that. Coming up in the next hour, we have Kieran O'Donnell in with the business news and previewing Business Matters, the podcast. Paddy Cullivan's back in Donegal with his latest show. He's going to be joining us, and Wellness Wednesday also on the way. Stay right where you are.
Jack, everyone asks me if you're teething when you cry, but can you be teething all the time? Maybe you're hungry, or you're sad and need a little cuddle, or maybe it's something else.
At the HSE's mychild.ie and in the free My Child books, you'll find the answers you need. From doctors, midwives, public health nurses, dietitians, and lots of other experts. mychild.ie. Expert advice for every step of pregnancy, baby, and toddler health. From the HSE.
Right, did you know, well, I'll tell you about that in a moment. A landmark study has found women with chronic fatigue, or ME, tend to have more symptoms and co-occurring conditions than men. 17,000 people took part in a world study of the syndrome led by experts from the University of Edinburgh. Karen Quinn joins us to discuss ME as a person suffering from it. Good morning, Karen. How are you keeping at the moment?
Hi, Craig. I'm okay, thank you.
All right, okay. So how do you describe, before we talk about your experience, we've heard it described as chronic fatigue and the medical name ME. How do you describe it?
I just don't see, people hear the name chronic fatigue syndrome and they just see it as tiredness, but there are so many other symptoms that goes along with that. So it's very debilitating disease.
And
illness.
leaves you open for the worst effects of other things as well, presumably. You know, that if you catch something else, it's amplified by your ME.
Oh, definitely. Your immune system is very low. So if you would get the flu or a cold, you get really ill with it again. Your ME symptoms just flare up as well. So it can leave you very open to other things as well.
And for the most part, it's one of those conditions that's invisible. So to all intents and purposes, Karen, if someone saw you, they might jump to another conclusion or whatever it might be, which, as well as everything else, makes it very isolating. It's a hidden condition for the most part, I think, other than those that are close to you and those that know you, Karen.
Definitely. Even when I was really ill, people would say to me, but you look well. You look all right, even though I just was so ill. And because you look okay, because people can't see there's anything wrong, that's really hard to take as well. Because in fact, people are saying, well, you look okay, so you must be okay. Yeah. You don't look ill. So I found that very hard.
Take us back. This is a condition that's taken so much from you and taken so much of the life you should have been able to enjoy ordinarily. You were just 21, training as a nurse in London. At that point, were you free of it, or when were you diagnosed? So take us through from that age, Karen.
Well, it was Christmas 1989. I got gastric flu and I was ill for 2 weeks. I got better from that and I carried on doing my nursing. But I kept getting things wrong with me. But I just put it to the side. I didn't think anything about it. I just got married. I had everything going for me, a career that I always wanted. And it was March 1991 that I started, that we thought at that time I was getting the flu. And the doctor said, you're getting the flu. And then after that, my health just started deteriorating every day, every week. I kept going back to the doctors and, you've got the flu. But over in less than a month to 2 months, I was getting this awful feeling in my legs, just above my knees. I started unable to walk. They were getting numb. They were getting heavy. And I couldn't explain this. I was starting getting problems with my hands as well. I started getting like a fog brain. My glands were getting swollen. I was getting stomach problems. Again, we didn't know what it was then, but it just overtook.
And Karen, speaking about this condition on numerous occasions and similar conditions, you get treated for absolutely everything except the thing that it is often. Were you lucky, or was that your experience that it was this, it was that, it was everything but ME? And when did you actually get a diagnosis, or a GP or a specialist sit down and say you've got chronic fatigue?
Well, I was very lucky with the GP at the time, and she said, I think you've got something from post-viral fatigue from the gastric flu. Then I was referred to the London hospital, and lucky enough there was a specialist at the time, and he was specialising in ME, chronic fatigue, which was rare at that particular time because we were just hearing it was yuppie flu, etc. Now, he took me into hospital for over a month, and he done every test. Every test was coming back negative, which I found frustrating because I just wanted something to be positive because I felt so ill. But after all the tests and that's when he diagnosed me with ME, chronic fatigue syndrome.
And Karen, is there anything in the body that can diagnose it, or is it a case that you eliminate absolutely everything else and that's what you're left with? In other words, is there a blood test or a tangible diagnosis for ME?
No, not yet, and that's the frustrating feeling, is that there is no test there yet. So it's just getting rid of everything else when it all comes back negative, and then they will diagnose that you've got ME, chronic fatigue. Now, it can affect everybody quite differently. My case, I couldn't walk at all, and I was bedbound for 10 years. Some people may not have it that severe, so it's really different for every person. So that makes it again quite difficult. Also, I got mine from gastric flu, but you can get it from other illnesses as well.
So this is not something
hard.
necessarily that's hereditary or that you're prone to. It's an infection, and how the path of that infection and how it interacts with your body can trigger this. So in other words, any of us potentially, albeit rare but not fully uncommon, could end up with ME.
Definitely. It's not hereditary, but yeah, I was healthy, I was young, I had everything to live for, and it was just whatever happens to your body with the gastric flu, there's still not 100% of knowing exactly what has caused it. But hopefully in time they will.
And does it have any, I mean, obviously bedbound for 10 years in a wheelchair, still to this day you've got mobility issues and you'd have to pick and choose presumably how you use the energy that you have. But in terms of damage to vital organs, your heart, your brain, your kidneys, your liver, does it have any progressive impact on your general health?
A general health with the organs, no, it doesn't. But it does leave you a lot with brain fog, memory trouble, and things like that. But not in any vital organs. I haven't known it to affect mine.
Now, you have created a Facebook page. It's called Donegal Support for ME. Why did you decide to launch that page?
Obviously moving to Donegal as well, I don't feel there's any support in Donegal. I went on then not so long ago to train to be a counsellor to help people like myself, because I feel having ME my life just changed drastically. And I just do not think there's enough support in Donegal. There's support for other areas of illnesses such as MS, motor neurons, etc. But I don't feel there's a lot of support to do with ME, chronic fatigue syndrome. So I'd like to help others and get a little community going to know that you're not alone with this illness.
And I think that's really valuable because I'm not sure what your case is, and I'm not asking you either. It is one of those conditions that even those around you and as loving and as supportive they are probably don't fully get it like someone else who has it might.
Exactly. I don't think with anything you don't know until you actually have the certain thing, whatever it's about. So definitely, I think if you've got someone else who's got ME, they'll understand you a lot more.
Your life is difficult, but it was worse. In terms of rehabilitation, treatment, what can be done or what worked for you, Karen?
Well, medication came from America, so I was given injections, and that slowly actually got me out of being in bed and being fully in a wheelchair full term. So, and like watching what you do, how you pace yourself. You know, if you know you're going to do a certain thing one day, you have to make sure the next few days you've got nothing planned. So it's really about trial and error, but if you've got some support group going, you know, you could understand from other people how it works for them as well. But you see, if I was going to go out for the day, I would have to go back into the wheelchair because I can't physically walk for a long time. And then with ME as well, sometimes you can do things for one day and you manage to do it. A day or so later, you pay the price for it. Yeah. So you have to be quite aware of that as well.
And your hopes and perhaps sense of progress can be dashed, I can imagine. All right, Karen. The Facebook page is Donegal Support for ME. It's about connecting people, supports and information and what have you. It's in its infancy, but hopefully, I'm sure there'll be a lot of people who are affected by this that can join. I wish you the best of health that is possible for you, Karen, in your situation, and I really appreciate you joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
All right, bye-bye. That's Karen Quinn, who has chronic fatigue syndrome, or ME, and you can go to Facebook, search Donegal Support for ME. As Karen described it there, it can be very isolating. It can be invisible to those who don't know you. So maybe in joining with others who can relate and understand, it might bring some comfort on your journey.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 Til Noon Show on Highland Radio.
Looking for the best staycation ever? Well, you're in luck. We teamed up with Vulture Ireland and asked the public what their favourite staycation activities are in Donegal, and they didn't disappoint. Michelle said she had a great day at Glencolmkill Folk Village, and it is an amazing, fun, educational day out for the whole family. Brian said his 2 teenagers had such fun zipping around with e-bikes in Downings, highly recommend. And Victor texts saying that Donegal Coastal Tours do amazing day tours around Donegal with very welcoming and knowledgeable staff. Sarah said her kids loved the scenic Lough Foyle ferry crossing, such a fun day out, while Ben said he and his mates had the best time kayaking and biking with Eco Atlantic Adventures, a day they won't forget. Plan your best vacation ever at discoverireland.ie and experience the feeling of a holiday all in one day.
Enter the Virgin Media Playhouse and unleash our best offers. It's time to play with our €100 gift voucher to spend your way when you choose full fibre 500 meg broadband for just €39 a month for 12 months and no activation fee. So switch today at virginmedia.ie. Virgin Media. It's playtime.
T's and C's apply. See virginmedia.ie. Subject to location and availability. New customers only. 12-month contract. 500 meg broadband. €70 thereafter. Ends October 11th, 2023. Pinklady.
Why leave all the magic moments or great scenes you've captured on your phone sitting there or in the cloud when you can have them printed at McGee's Chemist? Using the McGee's app or one of the in-store kiosks, you can upload your photos from your phone, Google Photos, Facebook or Instagram and have them printed instantly within an hour or in by 10 and ready by 5. See mcgees.ie for more details. Hold your memories in your hand with McGee's Chemist, Letterkenny.
The 9 Til Noon Show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
Highland Radio time checks with Expressway. Travel Route 32 from Letterkenny to Dublin when you book online and travel for less. Expressway, bringing you the time at...
The time's 11:17. The man who brought you the murder of Michael Collins, Paddy Cullivan, historical entertainer, brings you the incredible story of the mysterious death of Theobald Wolfetone, the founding father of Irish republicanism. Good morning to you, Paddy Cullivan. How are you keeping?
Good morning, Greg. Great to see you again. How are you doing?
You too. I'm doing good. Your work is obviously, it's in terms of entertaining and getting bums and seats and what have you, but it is triggering something of a conversation people are somewhat reluctant to have, I think. You know, how accurate is our history and our understanding of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose this all started in, 2016 when I noticed when we were doing the centenary stuff, there was a lot of ahistorical BS, to quote Dermot Ferreter. I don't want to, on a morning show, say the actual words, but it seemed to me that our history had been handed to us very much by, let's say, government sources, official history sources, establishment sources. And there were just a lot of doubtful things in our history, especially as, if you look back at the newspapers of even Collins' time or Wolfetone, they're all government controlled. They're all very much propagandizing for the time and getting the story of what happened to Wolfetone out. And the more I look back at the original sources, which is what I did, the more I saw this whole construct, this whole story of the death of Wolfetone has been just put together. And I really wanted to get back to the actual story, the meat and potatoes, and see what exactly had happened. And it's a fascinating tale. And it has annoyed a few Trinity historians who've written into the newspapers and stuff like that. But, I have to say that I found that some of them have been wanting in terms of their estimation of what actually happened to Tone.
Yeah, and maybe their acceptance to gobble up the narrative rather than perhaps challenging it or questioning it. So talk to us a little bit about the principal character of this latest work of yours then. Wolfetone, I mean, briefly, can you tell us what the accepted version of his demise is? And then maybe that'll lead us into where you go with the story.
Well, I start my show in Donegal, as you must, Greg, as you well know. Wolfetone, had been this amazing character. He had been a barrister who started writing pamphlets that became bestsellers, basically to free Ireland, to unite Protestant, Catholic and dissenter, and try and free us of the tyranny of the British Empire, George III, the monarchies, emulating the American Revolution and the French Revolution. But of course, he was a reasonable guy. He'd left the country when the United Irishmen were banned, went to America, wasn't going to get any help there, went to France, and they said, yes, we will help you. So in 1796, he comes over on a mission with 15,000 French troops. Unfortunately, the weather is bad in Bantry Bay, and there's other nefarious reasons why they didn't land. But that scared the Irish government so much that they dragooned Ulster and they, terrible tortures of the local people, which led to the outbreak of the 1798 rebellion. So while Tone is in Paris again, he's there saying, look, we've got to help these people. They only have pikes against guns. And the French agree, and they send 3 missions. The first one lands with Humbert in Killala, an incredible story that lasts 2 weeks. Nappertandy lands in Rutland Island in Donegal, would you believe, stays there for a week, but realises the French have been defeated at Ballinamuck and turns back. And then Tone himself sets off, and the Battle of Tory Island takes place. It's the last major battle of 1798 in which he takes part. 3,000 troops on about 9 ships are trying to land in Lough Swilly. Unfortunately, the Royal Navy are not going to let them pass. They intercept them, and there's a 4-hour naval battle in which Wolfetone fights bravely as if courting death with the ultimate coolness, said Bompard, the commander. But they are stopped, they are captured, and he's brought to Derry. Now, people debate whether he's brought to Letterkenny or lands in Lough Swilly or Buncrana. But in any way, the story starts in Donegal. He's captured. He's brought to Dublin, put on trial, sentenced to die on Monday, the 12th of November, 1798, by hanging. There's a controversial court case. His lawyer is fighting to say, look, his trial was illegal, blah, blah, blah. Lord Kilwarden says, you're right, it was illegal, because it was a court-martial, even though Tone was a French officer. And so they send a messenger up to the prison to fetch him. The first time they're rejected. The second time the messenger is sent up, it comes back. Tone tried to take his life last night in jail. He can't be moved. The wound is too bad. Tone lasts another 8 days, no visitors allowed, and then dies on the 19th of November, supposedly from the self-inflicted wound. That's the official story. I've dug deeper.
Right. So instantly, does it seem unlikely to you that that would be the type of act, with everything that went through, that Wolfe Tone, it's unlikely, is it, in the first instance, that he would choose to go out that way?
Many historians believe it, because Tone had written of, the bravery of William Jackson, people he'd known who'd done the same thing. But, I've looked through every letter. There's a fantastic series of books that came out, and I studied it during COVID. I went day by day through Tone's last 8 days or 9 days. He's fighting for his life. You can see it. He dresses up as a French adjutant general for his trial to say, look, I'm a Frenchman. He writes to Matilda, his wife in Paris, saying, I'm as tranquil as I've ever been, and you will have no cause to blush for me. His lawyers are working on his behalf. He knows this. And yet, when it comes time for the execution, he somehow cheats death. And a lot of Republicans like this story. They think that Tone has had agency in all of this. But I see something much more nefarious as having happened. And I think it's to do with the idea that he might have gotten away, and that there was a cabal of law enforcement and military in Dublin who, contrary to Lord Cornwallis, who had taken over the whole thing, the whole running of the 98 rebellion, they want to make sure Tone doesn't get out alive or have any chance of getting out alive. And I've gone through it day by day, news report by news report. The supposed weapon used, the razors or whatever, has never shown up at auction or anything like this, even though his jailer, William Sandys, was a major collector of stuff, including not only Tone's death mask, but Robert Emmet's death mask. All these guys used to collect all this stuff. Famously, the French flag that was brought aboard in Derry was sent by George Hill down to Edward Cook, the head of Dublin Castle, for his collection of French curiosities. So these guys, there's a lot of stuff missing in the story. They make up an awful lot of stuff. There's supposed letters he wrote in prison, even though he was in a straitjacket. The letters are fakes. I got them out of the National Library. They're not even in his own hand. So there's something weird going on. But then there's a drama playing out afterwards where William Sandys, his jailer, wants to make sure that Tone is buried in a graveyard. So, you can't, if you've inflicted a wound on yourself, you cannot be buried in consecrated ground. And yet he is in Bodenstown, and the direct orders of Lord Cornwallis. So there's a fight going on between these kind of loggerheads, the police force of Dublin and the main man, about what to do with Tone.
But so if the consensus was on trial, I'm sure you'd be confident that you present enough evidence to at least question I don't know where I'm going with that, if you know what I mean. But do you feel that you have researched and developed enough to sort of say, we really actually need to, of course we'll talk about your show and how you present it, but there's enough here to actually say we really need to look at the narrative that's been accepted?
Well, as the great Donegal historian Tommy Graham, who runs History Ireland, has said, the best you can say about Tone is that he died of a cut throat, but whether it was his own doing or someone else's, and that's the question we need to ask. And you see, I find, Greg, with all of this, a lot of historians give out to me and say, "Oh, you have no source for that," and that's a leap, or that's a stretch, or maybe the letters were dictated. What I say to them is, look, if someone's covering something up, they're not going to leave all the evidence lying around, so you have to fill in the blanks. And secondly, you can say, okay, yeah, maybe the letters were dictated, maybe the razor was left in the cell by his brother, maybe this and maybe that. Individually, yes, I'd agree with you. But for all of those coincidences to take place with the same thing happening, and not to compare the man to the man, but it's very like the Jeffrey Epstein case. It's very strange that all these things happen. The cameras don't work, the guards fall asleep, all of this stuff. And it's very much the same situation. You're kind of going, lads, I could take one or two coincidences, but I'm not going to take 20.
Right. So, I mean, one of our most popular items in this program is a history slot. So we know the people of the Northwest are fascinated with history. There's such a strong Donegal connection, Derry connection to this as well. So I think, you know, you'll fill the Ballard if you just sat at a table, you know, and presented your case. But for those who haven't seen your show, it's much more than that, Paddy. So if you can just describe people's experience they can enjoy in the Ballard Theatre, Ballard Buffet, this coming Thursday, 8 p.m.
Well, as everyone knows, I have a home in Gorda Hork, so I opened the show with a movie, you know, that I took facing out to Tory Island and saying, can you believe that the last great naval battle of the 18th century took place off the coast of Donegal? And it's true. Medals have been cast about it and all of that. But then I go into the story and there's 300 images. There's a lot of comedy involved because Tone was a humorous man, and I try and make the thing entertaining for people as well. And I kind of go into the background of what was the Protestant ascendancy like? What was Ireland like? The life that he grew up in. But then I also have a few songs. I have a beautiful song in that moment. They were free, about him, but also a song dedicated to this kind of academic historian that kind of tries to see both sides of the story. You see, Tone wasn't just murdered once. As far as I'm concerned, he was murdered twice, because the academics who accept this story, they're part of the conspiracy against him, as far as I could see. And it's, it played into the hands of the Catholic Church. It played into the hands of a lot of people that Tone was weak in the end and all of this. And a lot of historians say, but his father had a big funeral and the rest. But no, it's for posterity. And it's for posterity I'm trying to defend these people's reputations, Michael Collins and Wolfe Tone. Michael Collins was not a drunk fool who'd never handled a gun in his life or been in a firefight. Of course he was in Moore Street. Same with Tone. Somehow there's a willingness by our establishments to want to besmirch these people. And all I'm saying is, guys, there's more sides of the story. I'm not saying what definitively happened, because I can't prove it.
I think, though, there's a reluctance, though. You don't want to unravel your lecturers, maybe the papers that you've written, the books that you may have written, if it's all based on this source material that you're questioning. I'm not saying that's the motivation, but I'm sure that's all in there as well.
Well, here's what I say. There's a lot of very definitive sources in it. The problem is, here's what I'm saying, Greg. We all have the same sources, but sometimes you can draw a different conclusion. And of course, you got to put human nature in there and all the rest of it. And it's very important that we have a very romantic, idealized view of things, or a kind of a resigned view of things, and we shouldn't. And of course, with Tone, and then the show is a game of two halves. It's got songs, it's got story. Imagine kind of a kind of your favorite podcast, but you're on stage and you're actually out hanging out with human beings, Greg. That's the best part of going to the Ballard Theatre. You're actually hanging out with human beings, which Tone would have loved too. But it tells you the wonderful story of the United Irishmen too, and their wonderful unifying message. And one of the things I say near the end is, if Tone woke up today and somebody said to him, that Ireland's partitioned, and Tone would go, oh my God, really? Oh, that's desperate. And how did it work out? And they go, well, the Protestants got the 6 counties in the north, and the Catholics in the main got the 26 in the south. And the way the world was in the 18th century, Tone would have turned around and said, oh, well, at least my Republican Protestant friends got the republic of the 6 counties they wanted. How are the poor loyalist Catholics doing down south? Because the world was turned upside down. The United Irishmen were a bunch of Protestants and Presbyterians. These were men looking for change and enlightenment. And there was many loyal Catholics who fought against them. So Tone turns everything on its head, and his unifying message is still the one we really need to take on board for the future as well, for the future United Ireland we might have, All
right, that's the voice of Paddy Cullivan bringing you the incredible story of the mysterious death of Theobald Wolfe Tone, the founding father of Irish republicanism. It's an audio-visual spectacular featuring, as you heard from Paddy, hundreds of images, shocking new research and incredible songs. And it's not going too far to say that Paddy's daring to unravel the secrets and lies around what happened that fateful week in the Provost prison in November 1798. The Ballard Theatre, Ballard Buffet, Thursday night, 8 p.m. It's going to be a cracker, Paddy. Thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Paddy Cullivan there.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com. The 9 Til Noon Show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Now offering mortgages from 40,000 to 600,000 euro with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Are you building a new home? Building requirements state that you must install a radon barrier. At FF Radon Systems, we supply and professionally install the fully certified barrier. For more information, call Liam at FF Radon Systems on 086 833 2749.
Century Complex is the perfect family day out. Kids will love exploring Century Play. Lots of tasty options available at Backstage Bar and Grill. And at Century Cinemas, we're showing entertaining kids' movies, action and adventure movies, dramas and more. Call us on 07491 21976 or visit centurycinemas.ie.
Foy & Company Letterkenny and Ballybuffet are delighted to announce that the new and exclusive to Foy's Italian leather sofa collections have arrived. Transform your living space with this stunning sofa collection in different colours and designs. From luxurious sofas and recliners to sleek dining sets and cosy bedroom furniture, Foy & Company brings style and comfort to your home with something for every taste and budget. Call in and get a free interior design consultation this month at Foy & Company Letterkenny.
Wheezing or sneezing? When you're feeling under the weather, your local Brennan's Pharmacy can help. Rest, fluids and simple pain relief are the most effective remedies for a common cold. But if you find that you're coughing so hard that your chest hurts, or if it's disrupting your sleep, just ask our pharmacist to recommend the best solution for a speedy recovery. For all your pharmacy needs and advice you can trust, we're here for you at Brennan's Pharmacy, Buncrana, Clonmany and Creeslough.
The Tyrconnell Blackfish Sheep Breeders Association 12th annual sale of 500 female sheep will take place in Milford Mart this Friday, the 15th of September at 7 p.m. The sale will consist of ewe lambs, hoggets and ewes. That's this Friday at Milford Mart.
All right, welcome back to the 9 Til Noon Show. We're into the last half hour. Still plenty to come, including Kieran O'Donnell with the latest business news. He's back after his fortnight break. And also, we'll look forward to the Business Matters podcast. Right, some of your comments coming in so far this morning. Huawei phones are the best for cameras. Do you think so? Okay, I used to have a Huawei. No more. I was on a beach a couple of years ago and I loved, well, actually, see, the cameras are quite misleading. Samsung's last phone, do you remember the whole advert whereby it was pushed on social media where you could zoom into the moon and the camera was so good that you could see the surface of the moon and the craters and the coloration? And as it turned out, it was really artificial intelligence. If you shone it at anything white and it thought it were the moon, it would present you with this crystal clear image of the moon. So you can't believe anything anymore. I was on a beach a couple of years ago on a lovely summer's day. Two young girls had a small dog with them and another gentleman was across them with a big dog. Lo and behold, didn't the big dog kill the small one? The two teenagers were traumatised. I'll never forget it. Owners don't have control over their dogs. You never know how they might react. Put them on a lead. I would no more than probably never fully trust a human. I certainly would never fully trust a dog, especially around children. A caller says all dogs should be on leads, no exception. That lady dead on. Some dog owners don't understand the fear some people have. Moville Shaw, walk, over, run with all types. Overrun with all types of dogs running free. Please let your listeners know that there's a scam caller phoning saying he's from Bank of Ireland and someone has lodged into your account in England and transferred €18,000 to a payee, and the bank has flagged this as fraud. It gives a double number to phone and a case number to change your login details. Phone the bank and report. Wowzers. Okay, that's a dirty one. Be careful of that. And do you know what they know? We're talking about money laundering at the moment. These scammers are right across everything. So we're talking about money laundering, money mules, money going into your account or you taking money. And what do the scammers start doing? They pretend to be a bank saying that money's been lodged into your account. It's a dirty trick. Took a trip up to Dobeg Beach at the Fanad Arch. Problem was not just dog waste, but also fresh human excrement on the shore. Also, the amount of household waste and litter scattered around. Perhaps certain two-legged creatures should be on a leash or banned from our beaches. Oh my god. Was it definitely humans? That's disgusting. All right, okay. Stay right where you are, please, because we have our next guest in studio with us.
Business Matters in association with ATU Donegal Faculty of Business. Now is the time to realise your potential by enrolling on the part-time degree in business. Only 3 years with 1 evening per week on campus and another online. Open up your future by contacting the faculty office on 9186206 or visit lyit.ie today.
All right, Kieran, welcome back to the 9 Till Noon Show.
Good morning, Greg. How
are
are
you keeping?
I'm good. How are you?
How was your couple of weeks off?
Good. I didn't do a lot. Just took it nice and handy.
But isn't that nice to do?
Yeah.
Did you get away anywhere?
Well, my daughter is over in Coventry, so she's over in college there, so I went over to get her settled in, and I got to see the Killers in Belfast a couple of weeks ago as well.
What were they like?
Excellent.
Still able to do it?
Yes, and Johnny Marr, the guitarist with the Smiths, was playing support. And my first concert was the Smiths concert back in 1984. And 39 years later, I was back watching him. So I was back. I was a teenager for about 90 minutes.
That's lovely. And is it the Killers that get drummers out of the crowd?
Well, it wasn't on that occasion, but
I think it
was a real mixture because like Brandon Flowers and the Killers bring great energy, where Johnny Marr was a wee bit more laid back and less active maybe on the stage, but both equally entertaining and a really, really good night.
I was watching back at some of old footage from Glastonbury when I think it was Mr. Brightside had just been released. Yeah. But you could see by the way they were performing it and the way the audience were reacting, it hadn't become the jumping around anthem that it did generally become, if you know what I mean. It was kind of funny because I was like, well, this is all really low key. But obviously it grew into something. Yeah, into something completely different.
They bring a real high tempo energy to their performance, so it was good night.
Nice, that's a cool one. I didn't even know they were playing in Belfast. Brilliant stuff. All right, let's talk about some business news now. And a workshop on LinkedIn. It's one of the most popular social media platforms, but one I don't go near because they look for money off you to see who's been looking at your profile. And I'm like, stuff you. It's my profile. But anyway, it's hugely popular. They're not going to be too worried about what I say.
No. The collab at the ATU's Donegal campus on Letterkenny Sport Road is the venue for tomorrow's LinkedIn workshop that will be delivered by Dennis Finnegan from Growfuse. So those who attend will learn how to effectively market themselves and their business using LinkedIn. The 2-hour event starts at 9 a.m. It's free to Letterkenny Chamber members and collab clients, and there's also a €10 fee for non-members. To secure a place, Greg, email marie@letterkennychamber.com or check out Letterkenny Chamber's social media platforms.
If I'm not mistaken, Letterkenny Chamber membership has actually surpassed 300 now. We might talk about that a little later on in the week. Okay, the Energy Support Scheme.
Yeah. The Donegal Local Enterprise are just giving a heads up to businesses that the government has launched a new energy support scheme for businesses that were impacted by significant increases in the cost of kerosene during 2022. So the Business Users Support Scheme for Kerosene, also known as BUSK, BUSK, will compensate eligible businesses for 50% of the increased cost of kerosene purchased for heating their business premises, and that's during the period from March the 1st to December 31st last year, and that's comparing the average retail price for the same period in 2021. So it's a worthwhile exercise for businesses to look at, Craig. There will be a guaranteed minimum payment of €500, which is significant.
Wow, and kerosene is more generally known as home heating oil, isn't it? Yeah, okay. I always get confused at the pump. Right, Donegal ETB's environmental sustainability courses, what are these about?
Yeah, for local businesses concerned about the climate crisis and who'd like to learn about contributing a more sustainable future, Donegal ETB's Further Education and Training Service has a number of part-time courses starting this autumn that can expand businesses' knowledge base in this area. So for more information on the upcoming courses, Greg, people can email enterpriseengagement@donegaletb.ie, and there are 2 different courses around various parts of the county.
Now, Boyle Construction are busy boys and they're up for a major award.
Yes, Boyle Construction has been shortlisted for the highly prestigious ICI Award for 2023 in the category of Contractor Health/Education Project of the Year. The project involved the refurbishment of the existing Shield building in Ballyshannon and the construction of 2 new 3-storey wings. The award winners will be announced at a function in the Mansion House in Dublin on November the 2nd. And just for record purposes, Boyle Construction is based in Letterkenny and was set up by Donald and Eugene in 1984.
Now, we heard earlier on from Ireland West, aka Knock Airport.
Yes.
They've experienced record numbers for 2023 and really excited for 2024. And it's good news too, isn't it, for Donegal Airport?
Yeah. Summer good news story, Greg. Last month saw the largest number of passengers flying with Aer Lingus Regional between Dublin and Donegal Airport since the inception of the route in 1996. The route, operated by Emerald Airlines, experienced a 13% increase in passengers compared to the previous year. And according to Emerald Airlines, the growth is being driven by strong tourist demand, particularly from those travelling from North America.
And not unlike Knock Airport, you can begin your flight, load your luggage on in Donegal Airport and pick it up in your international destination, and the same as you can at a Knock, which is great. Okie doke, let's go on to what's on this week's podcast, which is available right now, and we'll let you know where shortly. Who's your guest?
Yeah, my guest this week, Greg, is the former Managing Director of Fruit of the Loom and former Chair of the International Fund for Ireland, Willie McCarter, who now works as an independent advisor. 4 days after graduating from Trinity College in Economics and Political Science in 1969, he began his master's degree at Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Willie came home in 1971 to work in the family's underwear making business, W.P. McCarter, and the following year he became managing director at the age of 25, following the death of his uncle Willie. McCarter signed a deal with Fruit of the Loom in 1987, and it became a major employer in Donegal and Derry, as we know, during a 20-year period. At full capacity, Fruit of the Loom employed 3,000 people and produced 1 million t-shirts and 400,000 sweatshirts per week. In this clip, Willie recalls the contract McCarter secured with Adidas in the mid-70s.
There's a guy in Cork called Michael O'Connell who was the distributor for Adidas. And Michael kept on at us, look, you know, we'd like to get three-stripe T-shirts produced in Ireland. So we got yarn spun in Hong Kong and brought the yarn in, and we made these three-stripe T-shirts, took them over to Germany, and talk about the 1,000 dozen a week. We got an order written for those for 500,000 three-striped T-shirts that set us out on the road to making serious sportswear for Adidas, and then we got into fleece jogging suits and sweatshirts and all of that, and that led us into Levi sweatshirts, and we still had the fashion T-shirt business.
So was the deal with Adidas a major game changer for the progress and future of your company back then?
It was. We became that was about 1976, and we were a major producer for Adidas for about 10 years. In fact, I calculated, I think we probably produced about 15 million three-stripe T-shirts and, I don't know, a couple of million of jogging suits.
I wonder if he got any of the originals lying around the place still in their packaging. That'd be worth a pretty penny, I think.
I was wondering that myself when I was talking to them down in Fawn.
Business people based deep down. Come here. All of your guests are fantastic, but that's a particularly nice one to guess. I suppose, given his experience, but also given how important he is. I mean, you mentioned Fruit of the Loom anywhere across the Northwest. Everyone knows precisely what you're talking about, and someone they know or they themselves work there.
3,000 workers at various plants in Buncrana, Milford, Dunlow, 2 in Derry. I think there was 3 actually in Buncrana at that stage. And one of the things Willie said, while it trained a lot of people, it actually trained him as well, and he learned a lot through the experience that lasted around about 20 years. But when you hear somebody talking about 15 million three-striped T-shirts and a couple of million jogging suits, it gives some sort of indication before for the Loom, which was even bigger again in terms of production, the scale. Just to point out, the W.P. McCarter was set up in 1932 by the previous generation, and they managed to take 6 people and set up in Buncrana. And when Willie came back from America in the early 70s, having graduated from Massachusetts Institute of Technology, his father actually wrote to him and asked him could he come back when he was finished up. And Willie's plan was to come back for a 6-month period after he returned to Ireland. And as he said himself, he's still here.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, the full interview with Willie McCarter is available for you to stream or download from our website, highlandradio.com. You'll see it in the top stories there, and it'll be in the featured stories too a little later on. Or I think it's also available for you on Spotify or iTunes. But lots of people like to just listen it as a live show. And when's that on, Kieran?
Yeah, Wally was on himself this morning. He was just double checking when it was on Sunday. So it's Sunday evening, Greg, after the 6 o'clock news.
And if anyone would like to get in touch with you now that you are, I suppose, refreshed, re-energised, ready for the next 100.
Yeah, just drop me an email, please. businessmatters@highlandradio.com.
Sounds like you didn't recognise that description.
Definitely thought you were talking about somebody else.
All right, great to have you back, Kieran.
Cheers,
Thanks
Greg.
very much indeed. Our website, highlandradio.com, or after the 6 o'clock news on Sunday.
The 9 Til Noon Show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Over recent months, we've all been dealing with the reality of rising energy costs, and we've all been making changes to reduce our energy use. However, if you are having trouble paying your energy bills, be sure to talk to your supplier as soon as possible. There are a range of protections in place for customers. Organisations such as MABS and Alone can also help. For information on these and all other supports available, visit gov.ie/reduce your use. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
New this week at Home Store and More. All bar stools and chairs are all half price. But better hurry, because when all the half price bar stools and chairs are gone, they're gone. Also, all metal kitchen bins and all painting and DIY accessories are still all half price. But when all the half price metal kitchen bins and all the half price painting and DIY accessories are gone, they're definitely gone. Drop by your local Home Store and More, or visit us online at homestoreandmore.ie. New store now open in Frascati Centre, Blackrock, Dublin. Home Store and More. A happy home.
Electric Ireland Superhomes can help you achieve a cosier, healthier and more energy efficient home, and one with less carbon emissions. They look after your home's retrofit from start to finish, including management of SEAI grants. Visit electricirelandsuperhomes.ie and start your journey to a superhome today. Grants offered are provided by the Government of Ireland through the SEAI.
Looking for the best place in the Northwest to get a bed or mattress? Restex Beds and Mountaintop Letterkenny has a great selection and great prices. Restex Beds has everything you need for a good night's sleep. Visit them today and sleep better tonight.
Pour Corsica in Cork. Bring Burgundy to Blackrock. The Taste of France is in store at M&S with 20% off our whole range of incredible French wines. This is not just wine. This is M&S French wine. Over 18s only, subject to availability. T's and C's apply. Please drink responsibly.
Welcome back to the programme. How are you all keeping out there? Hope you're very well indeed. Well done, Karen. I had ME for 10 years. Was as bad as yourself. No one understands, and I mean no one. Only for a specialist in ME in Galway, I'd probably still be bedbound. He was excellent. Cost me an arm and a leg financially, but well worth it. I finally got my life back. That comes in from Mary. And Mary, also very glad to hear that worked for you. Do you happen to drive from Letterkenny to Killybegs every day? Well, a listener who's starting at the Killybegs campus at ATU is looking for a lift on Monday, Tuesday and Wednesdays, and they're willing to share your fuel costs, your expenses. We have a number here, by the way, if that suits you. So it's someone going from Letterkenny to Killybegs, presumably back, Monday, Tuesdays and Wednesdays. They're studying at the Killybegs campus at ATU, and they'll provide a bit of company and to split those expenses for you. Or at least contribute to them. Okay, tonight at the Verbal Arts Centre in Derry, Sinn Féin's Commission on the Future of Ireland will host its 7th public meeting in Derry at 7:30pm. A panel discussion entitled Exploring Northern Protestant Identities and a Shared Future will take place, as I mentioned there, at the Verbal Arts Centre. Councillor Conor Heaney joins me on the programme now to discuss this. Hi, Conor.
Hi, Greg.
So how have these events gone so far?
They've all been extremely successful events, really well attended, excellent discussion on a whole range of topics. We've held, as you say, we had 6 people's assemblies in various parts of Ireland, including Donegal, and a number of sectoral events, a youth event and a women's event, and this one is focusing on Northern Protestant culture and tradition in the future. So it should be a really good discussion tonight.
And in the audience, are you going to be speaking about people that aren't there? I mean, obviously, I presume you're inviting everyone, but do you anticipate that many who are the subject of this conversation might actually turn up?
Well, both the chair and the panellists are all from that tradition. So they will be outlining from their perspective the importance of their culture, their views on various issues. So that'll be the focus. The audience will be mixed. I anticipate it will be largely nationalist, given that it's in the city of Derry, but that's a positive thing because it's about learning from each other, hearing from each other, and getting an insight into the importance of the Northern Protestant cultures and traditions as we look to the future and as we are discussing what a new Ireland might look like.
Yeah, and a new Ireland, if it were united, would look like a country with almost an instant minority of Northern Protestants, on a 32 county basis. So I suppose that would be a challenge to recognise who they are, their cultures, their identities, the celebration of those cultures and identities in a very different country as an island as a whole.
Well, absolutely, and that's the importance of this discussion and discussions beyond this, because this is only a beginning of this, certainly in the city, and there's been similar work happening in Belfast for quite some time. So it's a really important, like there already was an instant minority created in the south when the country was partitioned. How that was managed and handled is another debate, and whether that was done as well as it should have been done. So we're looking to learn from mistakes in the past and ensure that people are informed and have an opportunity to debate and tease all these issues out as soon as possible. As you know, it's been Sinn Féin's position that the Irish government should establish a Citizens' Assembly, an All-Ireland Citizens' Assembly that will be hosting discussions and debates like this. But in the interim, where Sinn Féin are doing what we can to host people's assemblies right throughout. There'll be the rest of the autumn, maybe another one now coming up in Waterford and in the Gaeltacht in Galway.
Now, Micheál Martin himself, from a Fianna Fáil perspective, would argue that he's doing quite a bit of work in this area. And then we heard from the Taoiseach Leo Varadkar earlier this week, or towards the end of last week, saying he believes there will be a united Ireland in his lifetime. It seems all the major parties, at least in the south, are all planning for the same inevitability, it seems.
Well, saying that is fine, but practical preparations need to get underway. So that's, as people know, the process towards any referendum in the country begins with a Citizens' Assembly and with bringing the membership of that together and putting practical and detailed work, the whole range of matters that people then can make a decision on.
Yeah.
So,
and it'll be an interesting. Whenever that vote happens, it's going to be interesting because it's not necessarily going to be about green or orange or what Catholics think or Protestants think. It's going to be an all-Ireland vote. You'll have to sell it to the people of Cork that they want to take on whatever they might have to take on. The people of Kerry probably, don't have a great deal of affinity with Northern Ireland. We have a very diverse and getting ever so more diverse population on the island of Ireland. And we haven't really even started talking about healthcare, postal systems, road networks, the massive amount of people in Northern Ireland employed by the government, for an example. We haven't this is very worthwhile, of course, but we haven't really, I don't think, opened the can on the real conversations that will be happening across the entire island as soon as we sort of get note of an actual border poll / referendum taking place.
Yeah, absolutely. The issues are vast and they will be primarily focused on the economy, on education, on health, on all the issues that really matter to people. But there, as you said yourself, there will be a sizable minority contained in a new Ireland, and that's why we need to have the discussions now as well to see how all of that can be incorporated, managed, protected, and all that. But, you know, all the issues you listed are there, but it just makes the argument even stronger that we need a Citizens' Assembly to start focusing on all that and properly managed through, the Irish government.
All right.
Towards that. So.
Well, the Sinn Féin's New Ireland Commission event takes place. The Commission on the Future of Ireland takes place in Derry tonight. It's entitled Exploring Northern Protestant Identities in a Shared Future. It's taking place at the Verbal Arts Centre. Panellists include activist Catherine Pollock, Nigel Gardner, Catherine Cook, Alison Wallace. Everyone, as you say, Councillor, is welcome to attend. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out. Thank you very much for your time this morning.
Thank you, Greg.
All right, bye-bye. Councillor Conor Heaney there. 086 60 25,000. A quick mention, if you don't mind, of this next September. Pretty much a year to the day. Highland Radio's Hooley in Salou takes place, hosted by David James, with a whole host of fantastic artists. Margot, John McNichol, Robert Mazzell, Hugo Duncan, and on it goes. You are being invited to attend. You have access to all shows. You've got accommodation, you've got dinner, you've got bed and breakfast, you've got nighttime entertainment, you've got daytime entertainment, or you can go and do whatever you want in the day. Anyway, we want you to go with us. The price is $8.17 per person sharing. It's access to all shows, airport transfers, dinner each evening with wine included, and no end of fun and entertainment and forming of friendships and so on and so forth. You have to book your own flights, but our team can help you with that. Go to countrymusictours.ie for more information. countrytours.ie. All right, okay. Now that's where we have to leave it on the programme today. My thanks, very special thanks to Donna Marie Doherty and also Niamh Shields, who worked very hard on the programme. We're back with you tomorrow morning from 9. Stay tuned. John Bresson's Around the Northwest.